The night was unusually quiet, the kind of silence that presses against your ears and makes the shadows feel alive. A pale moon hung low in the sky, casting silver light across a landscape that seemed untouched by time. In the distance, the silhouette of a temple rose from the earth like a phantom, its massive stones stacked with an exactness that defied belief. The structure was unlike anything known, ancient yet impossibly precise, and it whispered of secrets no historian could place. Every surface glimmered under the moonlight, the edges sharp, the carvings intricate, but there was a sense that this place belonged to neither the past nor the present. It belonged somewhere beyond human memory. The first step onto the path leading to the temple sent a shiver through the explorer's spine. The ground was uneven, cracked by centuries of wind and erosion, yet it had held the weight of countless feet before. Every stone along the way seemed deliberate, as if even the ground itself had been arranged to guide visitors to the temple's heart. There was no visible sign of tools or scaffolding, no evidence of the labor that must have gone into its creation. Only the silence of the desert and the soft hum of the night air accompanied the traveler, punctuated by the distant cry of an owl and the occasional rustle of some unseen creature. It was a soundscape both ordinary and strange, grounding yet utterly alien. As the temple came into full view, its enormity became undeniable. Towering walls of gray-blue stone stretched upward, their surfaces carved with symbols that danced in the moonlight. Figures of animals, humans, and forms that seemed almost unearthly were etched across the facade, arranged in patterns that hinted at mathematics or language beyond comprehension. The closer one approached, the more the carvings appeared alive, as though they were frozen in motion, caught mid-step or mid-glance, waiting for something or someone. The air grew heavier here, as if the stones themselves were aware, observing, waiting to judge the intruder. The temperature seemed to drop slightly, a subtle shift that no thermometer could measure, and the explorer felt an instinctive caution, the same feeling that has stopped countless adventurers in their tracks before the dawn of modern science. There was no entrance visible at first. The walls were unbroken, seamless, and astonishingly smooth. It was only when stepping around the eastern corner that a narrow archway revealed itself, perfectly aligned with the moon's glow. The threshold was carved with symbols more intricate than any previously seen, concentric circles interspersed with geometric patterns that seemed to align perfectly with the constellations overhead. A sudden breeze, warm and yet filled with the scent of dust and stone, passed through the arch, carrying with it a faint whisper that could have been wind or something else. The explorer paused, heart racing, torn between fascination and fear. What force had created this structure? What knowledge had been required to conceive it in a time before recorded history? Inside, the temple's enormity became even more surreal. Columns rose like frozen waterfalls, carved from single blocks of stone, their surfaces etched with the same enigmatic symbols. The ceiling arched impossibly high, disappearing into shadows that seemed to shimmer as if lit by some hidden source. The floor, smooth and unbroken, reflected the moonlight streaming through hidden openings, casting a pale, ethereal glow across the chamber. Every step echoed in a hollow that suggested vast, unexplored spaces beyond immediate sight. And yet, despite its grand scale, there was an intimacy to the design, a meticulous care that suggested purpose beyond utility or display. What struck the explorer most, however, were the carvings along the walls. Rows upon rows of figures, some resembling humans, others animals, and some that defied any earthly categorization. They were arranged in patterns that seemed to tell a story, yet the story was frustratingly incomplete, like a puzzle missing half its pieces. In some places, the figures interacted with celestial symbols, moons, stars, and unknown bodies that could be planets, or something entirely unimagined. Some of the carvings depicted motion, sequences frozen in stone that suggested rituals or observances timed to the sky. Every element hinted at an intelligence far more advanced than anyone had attributed to ancient peoples. And yet, there was no record of this civilization anywhere. No texts, no ruins, no echoes in human history. The temple stood alone, a silent sentinel, refusing to be explained. A sudden gust of wind swept through the chamber, stirring loose dust and carrying with it a faint metallic scent, almost like ozone. It seemed to awaken something, or perhaps it was the mind of the explorer projecting meaning onto the silent stones. The carvings caught the light differently now, revealing patterns previously unnoticed. Spirals within spirals, grids overlaying concentric circles, and angles that corresponded with the moon's position in the sky. Each pattern suggested intention, calculation, and an understanding of the cosmos that seemed impossibly sophisticated. How could such knowledge exist in a time before astronomy was even conceptualized? And why leave such a monument in a place so remote, where only the most daring or desperate would ever find it? As the explorer lingered, gazing at the temple in awe, a thought surfaced, unbidden and chilling. Perhaps this place was not built for humans at all. Perhaps it was intended as a message, a marker, or even a warning, designed to endure far longer than any civilization could. The air vibrated with a subtle energy, almost imperceptible, and for a fleeting moment, it felt as though the stones themselves were alive, resonating with a memory older than recorded time. The moonlight caught on a raised platform at the center of the temple, where a stone altar stood untouched for millennia. Its surface was etched with a single, enigmatic symbol, unlike any other in the temple, simple, yet profound, as if it held the key to understanding everything else. And then, as if acknowledging the explorer's presence, the shadows shifted. The moonlight seemed to pulse, bathing the chamber in a silver glow so intense it was almost blinding. For the first time, it became clear that the temple was not simply a ruin. It was a story, a record, and a challenge. A monument deliberately left behind for those who could perceive it, beckoning them to ask the one question that had no easy answer. Who built this, if no civilization claims it? The desert surrounding the temple stretched endlessly, a barren expanse of sand, rock, and silence. By day, the sun scorched the ground, turning the earth into a shimmering mirage of heat and dust. By night, the cold descended with a merciless sharpness, and the moon illuminated the landscape in a pale, spectral light. Few had ventured here, and fewer still had returned with more than stories, fragments, and glimpses of the impossible. Travelers spoke in hushed tones, warning that the land itself seemed to protect the temple, guiding only the worthy, or perhaps the curious and reckless, to its doorstep. Every ridge, every dune, every shadow felt deliberate, as if the desert itself were part of some larger design, a living threshold that filtered the seekers from the merely wandering. Local legends told of strange lights dancing across the horizon, far beyond campfires or lanterns. Some claimed to see figures moving in ways no human should, silhouettes that vanished as quickly as they appeared, only to be replaced by glowing orbs or flickering shadows. Elders spoke of the temple as if it were alive, a conscious entity that watched over the land and those who dared tread near it. Children were warned never to approach after dark, for the moon spirits could be angry, and misfortune would follow those who ignored their caution. Anthropologists dismissed these stories as superstition, yet the patterns were curious. Accounts spanning centuries, recorded independently, consistently mentioning strange lights, voices, and movements. It was a place that demanded acknowledgement, even if understanding remained out of reach. The first explorers approached cautiously, mapping the terrain in painstaking detail. Diaries and journals from the late 19th and early 20th centuries described the region as both alluring and hostile. One account speaks of a caravan that vanished without a trace, leaving behind only tracks that led directly to the temple before abruptly ending. Another recounts a lone surveyor, driven by curiosity, who reported hearing whispers in the wind, low, guttural voices that seemed to speak in an ancient, forgotten language. His notes end abruptly, leaving an unsettling blank page, as though the silence itself had claimed the rest of the story. These fragments hint at a place where ordinary laws of nature and human perception seemed suspended, where reality and myth collided under the unblinking gaze of the moon. Modern archaeologists have studied the surrounding lands, searching for clues of a civilization that could have built the temple. They have found traces of habitation, pottery shards, rudimentary tools, fire pits, but none align with the scale or sophistication of the temple itself. Radiocarbon dating places these artifacts centuries, even millennia, after the construction of the monument, leaving a perplexing gap in the historical record. The desert offers no roadmap, no guidance. Winds erase footprints, shifting sands hide passages, and sudden storms can swallow entire survey camps overnight. It is a landscape as secretive as the temple itself, a living labyrinth designed to guard its greatest secret from all but the most persistent seekers. And yet, despite its remoteness, there are hints that the temple has always been known, at least to those who could see beyond the ordinary. Ancient rock art in nearby valleys depicts celestial symbols strikingly similar to those carved into the temple walls. Hunters' tales speak of nights when the moon casts a silver beam directly onto a hidden stone, revealing shapes not otherwise visible. Some of these shapes appear to mirror the patterns found inside the temple, suggesting a connection spanning vast distances and centuries. The precision is uncanny, leading some scholars to propose that the temple was not merely a place of worship, but a deliberate interface between earth and sky, humanity and something greater, a tool for measuring or communicating with forces unknown. Travelers who have skirted the edges of the temple's domain report an almost supernatural stillness, a quiet that goes beyond the absence of sound. It is the hush of expectation, the kind that grips the chest and slows the pulse, as though the land itself is holding its breath. The wind, when it moves, carries not only sand but a faint, almost metallic scent, like iron mixed with ozone. It is a smell that has been reported repeatedly, across generations, hinting at something geological, chemical, or perhaps entirely unexplainable. Cameras and instruments sometimes fail near the temple, recording static, strange distortions, or disappearing entirely. For those who have spent nights here, the desert seems to have its own consciousness, responding to presence, intention, or perhaps the mere act of observation. What is particularly striking, and deeply unsettling, is the way the temple's presence alters perception. Observers describe time as fluid, minutes stretching into hours, the moon appearing to hang motionless for inexplicable lengths of time. Shadows shift in impossible ways, revealing carvings and structures invisible in daylight. One night, an archaeologist noted a formation of stones aligning perfectly with the lunar rise, casting a network of shadows that formed patterns echoing those inside the temple. She recorded the event meticulously, but upon later review, even the most detailed diagrams failed to capture the eerie perfection of the alignment. It was as if the temple itself had orchestrated the moment, revealing just enough to tantalize the mind without surrendering its secrets. Even the wildlife around the temple seems to behave differently. Animals avoid the vicinity at night, moving silently through the desert as if aware of an unseen boundary. Birds circle in unusual patterns, and insects appear to congregate in precise, geometric formations. Local trackers have remarked that their dogs refuse to approach certain areas, growling at empty air or retreating abruptly for no apparent reason. These anomalies contribute to a growing sense that the desert and the temple are not merely a location but a system, an interconnected network of forces, both natural and perhaps unnatural, designed to remain inscrutable, to test the limits of human curiosity. By the time the explorer finally reaches the temple after crossing the vast expanse of sand and stone, there is a profound understanding that they are not entering merely a building, but a realm where history, myth, and mystery converge. The desert has filtered the unworthy, the impatient, and the casual, leaving only those who are ready, or perhaps compelled, to witness what lies within. The temple rises ahead, bathed in moonlight, casting long, spectral shadows across the sand. Every stone, every carving, every subtle alignment hints at a story beyond comprehension. And as the wind stirs again, carrying whispers that may be words or echoes of something far older, the explorer feels the weight of one irresistible question. Who, if anyone, left this place here, in a land where no human maps exist, where no civilization claims its creation, yet every element speaks of intention, knowledge, and profound mystery? The first thing that strikes an observer when stepping inside the temple's inner courtyard is the absolute impossibility of it all. The stones are massive, each weighing several tons, yet they are stacked with a precision that makes modern machinery seem almost crude. No tool marks are visible. No evidence of chisels, levers, or scaffolding remains. Every surface is perfectly aligned, every angle exact, and yet the temple is not merely functional. It is beautiful, almost hypnotic. Archaeologists have spent years trying to replicate even a fraction of the construction using techniques from known ancient civilizations, only to fail. And here lies the enigma. If no civilization we know could have built such a structure, then who did? Excavations around the temple reveal further mysteries. Foundations extend deep into the earth, far deeper than one would expect for a structure that seems so exposed to the elements. Carbon dating of organic materials in nearby soil offers little clarity, often returning dates that conflict with the assumed age of the temple itself. Tools discovered near the site appear rudimentary at first glance, simple obsidian blades and stone hammers, yet many bear patterns inconsistent with ordinary use. In some instances, microscopic grooves suggest cutting with materials far harder than anything available to humans of that era. Experts are left with a puzzle. A building of impossible scale, precision, and endurance, erected with tools that should not have sufficed. The carvings on the walls provide yet another layer of enigma. At first, they appear decorative, ceremonial, perhaps symbolic. But the closer one examines them, the more they seem to encode something far more sophisticated. Patterns of lines, spirals, and concentric circles recur throughout, often corresponding with the positions of celestial bodies. Some of these arrangements match astronomical phenomena that were only understood millennia later. Even the most seasoned researchers find themselves staring at the walls for hours, realizing that these are not mere symbols. They are a form of knowledge, frozen in stone, deliberately crafted to endure across time. And yet, there is no known script or language to decipher them. They are a puzzle left incomplete, a silent code meant to challenge anyone who dares to understand it. Fragments of pottery, small statues, and other artifacts litter the surrounding desert, yet none fit within any known cultural framework. A shard of clay might bear an inscription resembling the temple's carvings, yet chemical analysis reveals materials that are not native to the region. Tiny figurines depict beings that are neither human nor animal but something in between, with limbs elongated or twisted in ways that defy natural anatomy. Each artifact tells a story the world is not prepared to hear, leaving a trail of questions without answers. Who could have produced these items? How did they reach this remote location? And why is there no mention of them anywhere else in human history? Equally perplexing is the precision of alignment. The temple's chambers and corridors are oriented in ways that mirror the lunar cycle. On certain nights, during particular phases of the moon, shafts of light penetrate the stone walls, illuminating carvings and floors with uncanny precision. It is as if the building itself were alive, aware of time and celestial movement. Some archaeologists have noted that these alignments are so exact that they could not have been achieved without advanced knowledge of astronomy, geometry, and mathematics. And yet, according to the historical record, no civilization in that region possessed such knowledge at the purported time of construction. It is an inconsistency that refuses to yield to explanation, a testament to ingenuity, or perhaps intervention, that remains beyond comprehension. Even more confounding is the absence of human remains or evidence of permanent habitation. There are no signs of a city, no defensive walls, no cemeteries, no roads leading to the site. It is as though the temple was built and then deliberately abandoned, left to exist in isolation, a monument without a population. Some researchers speculate it may have served a ceremonial or observational purpose rather than a residential one, but this does not answer the deeper question. If humans did not build it, what purpose did it serve? The desert keeps its secrets well, and even today, the temple feels untouched, pristine, as if time itself has been carefully excluded from its stones. Adding to the mystery are tunnels and passageways discovered beneath the temple. These subterranean chambers are carefully constructed, extending far beyond what surface mapping initially suggested. In some places, walls curve with impossible precision, as if following a hidden blueprint that cannot be seen from above. Stalactites and mineral formations have grown undisturbed over centuries, Yet their patterns occasionally intersect with the temple's designs, implying a deliberate connection between natural processes and human, or non-human, engineering. Walking through these tunnels evokes a sense of vertigo and awe. One cannot help but feel that they are stepping into a system designed to endure for eternity, a network built with knowledge lost to the ages. Artifacts recovered from these underground spaces further deepen the enigma. Some items bear traces of materials unknown in the region, some metals that do not corrode and substances that resist conventional analysis. Tiny inscriptions, etched with such microscopic precision they require magnification to see, appear to convey information that transcends language. Some researchers suggest they represent star charts, calendars, or formulas for observation, but definitive interpretation remains elusive. Every discovery raises more questions than it answers, creating a tension between the tangible and the unknowable. A sense that the temple is both a laboratory and a message, left for those with the patience and intellect to decode it. What makes the temple most compelling, however, is not merely its construction or artifacts, but the way it challenges assumptions about human history. It suggests knowledge far older and more sophisticated than previously believed. Some scholars have floated the notion that it could have been a meeting place for disparate cultures, or even a relay station for knowledge traveling across continents. Others are more radical, proposing that it may predate humanity as we understand it, built by a civilization or intelligence that has been erased from history, deliberately or by accident. The temple's existence alone forces a reevaluation of timelines, accomplishments, and the very definition of civilization. How could such a marvel exist outside our historical record, untouched by conquest, time, or decay? And then there is the emotional impact. For those who step inside, the temple evokes awe, reverence, and fear in equal measure. It is impossible to ignore the feeling that the stones themselves are sentient, that they hold the memory of something beyond human understanding. Observers report a creeping sense of insignificance, a realization that human history may be far smaller, far younger, than the silent testimony surrounding them. It is this emotional weight, more than any artifact or measurement, that leaves an indelible mark. The temple is not just a building. It is a statement, a challenge, a mystery demanding engagement from anyone who dares enter its shadow. By the time researchers emerge from the temple, the sun has already begun to rise, casting golden light across the desert. Yet the questions remain heavier than the heat of day. Who built this structure? How did they accomplish what no known civilization could? What knowledge did they possess? And why did they leave so little trace of themselves? The stones offer no answers, only silent testimony, waiting for those patient enough to read between the lines of geometry, alignment, and symbol. And as the wind picks up again, carrying sand and echoes across the barren land, one truth becomes clear. The Moon Temple is a puzzle that defies both time and understanding, an enigma that demands contemplation, courage, and perhaps a willingness to accept that not all history belongs to humanity alone. The temple's architecture defies conventional understanding. At first glance, it seems to follow the familiar patterns of monumental ancient constructions. Massive stones stacked into walls, arches leading into shadowed corridors, and open courtyards that suggest ceremonial purposes. Yet, upon closer inspection, the entire structure reveals a sophistication that could not have been achieved by any known civilization of its supposed era. Every angle, every corner, every surface is calculated with precision that borders on the impossible. Some walls rise perfectly vertical, yet span lengths that would challenge even modern engineers. Others slope subtly, not arbitrarily, but in exact proportions that correspond to the trajectory of the moon across the sky. The temple is not merely a building, it is a mechanism, a piece of celestial engineering carved from stone. The corridors of the temple are particularly baffling. They twist and turn with an almost organic logic, yet nothing is left to chance. Passages that appear parallel eventually converge, and chambers that seem inaccessible align perfectly when viewed from above. The layout suggests an intimate understanding of geometry, light, and shadow. Sunlight and moonlight penetrate openings in ways that illuminate carvings only at certain times of the day or month. In one chamber, for instance, The rising full moon casts a precise circle of light onto a central stone platform, aligning with engraved markings that appear to correspond with lunar phases. Observers have attempted to recreate this effect, yet no modern instruments have achieved the same exact precision. It is as if the builders had a knowledge of celestial mechanics that far surpassed what was historically attributed to humanity. The stones themselves add to the mystery. Many are enormous, quarried from sites miles away, yet fitted together so perfectly that no mortar is visible. The joints are so seamless that even a razor blade cannot penetrate between them. Some blocks bear slight, deliberate angles, producing subtle visual effects when light moves across the surfaces. The alignment and interlocking are so precise that the temple has withstood millennia of earthquakes, windstorms, and erosion with barely a trace of damage. Structural engineers who have studied the site often describe a sense of disbelief. How could an ancient society, working with primitive tools, manipulate stones of such size and weight with such accuracy? And why? The purpose seems deliberate, almost ritualistic, but the reason remains obscured in the shadows of time. Geometric patterns recur throughout the temple, both externally and internally. Spirals, interlocking triangles, and concentric circles appear in relief along walls, columns, and floors. These patterns are not random. They correspond with the position of celestial bodies, suggesting the builders were not merely creating art, but encoding knowledge in a form that could endure across generations. Observers have calculated that some alignments match lunar cycles, solstices, and even rarer astronomical events that occur once every several centuries. It is a precision so advanced that historians struggle to reconcile it with known mathematical understanding of the time. Was this knowledge inherited, discovered independently, or given? The implication is staggering. The temple itself may function as a record, a map, or even a machine that interacts with the heavens. Beyond the functional, there is a sense of narrative in the architecture. Certain corridors seem to lead intentionally to hidden chambers, yet the path is not obvious. Steps and platforms create optical illusions that mislead the eye, yet when approached from the right angle, the route reveals itself as perfectly logical. Some researchers suggest these are not mere defensive measures, but designed to guide initiates, ritual participants, or observers through a sequence of experiences. The play of light and shadow, the echo of footsteps, and the sudden appearance of illuminated carvings all create an immersive, almost theatrical experience. It is a deliberate choreography in stone, a silent instruction encoded in geometry, waiting for those perceptive enough to notice and understand. The temple's proportions are equally mysterious. Columns, arches, and platforms follow ratios that are mathematically precise, reminiscent of principles rediscovered in later cultures. In some cases, the ratio between the height of a wall and the width of a chamber corresponds almost exactly with the golden ratio, a relationship celebrated for centuries for its aesthetic perfection. The repetition of these ratios throughout the structure indicates intention rather than coincidence. Yet, the culture that supposedly built the temple had no known knowledge of such advanced mathematics. This creates a paradox that modern scholars cannot ignore. The temple demonstrates technical mastery that seems centuries ahead of its time, yet it belongs to an era that history claims was far less sophisticated. The ceilings of the temple offer yet another layer of awe. Some chambers feature vaulted ceilings, carved in spirals or tessellated patterns that focus sound and light in precise ways. A faint noise in one corner resonates throughout the entire chamber, creating an effect of amplified presence. Similarly, the alignment of openings allows sunlight or moonlight to penetrate in narrow shafts, illuminating only selected surfaces at select times. These features are not accidental. They reveal an understanding of physics, acoustics, and optics that seems extraordinary for the period. Every structural choice is intentional, every detail deliberate, and yet the reasoning behind many of these decisions remains hidden, lost to time or perhaps never recorded in human history. The more one studies the architecture, the clearer it becomes that this is a temple designed not merely for use, but as a communication with forces beyond the ordinary. It is a structure that embodies knowledge in stone, knowledge that could be read by those with the skill to interpret it. The geometry encodes information about the cosmos, the cycles of the moon, and perhaps even time itself. It is as if the temple were alive, aware of the movement of the heavens and the passage of centuries, a silent witness to history that refuses to be forgotten. Standing within its walls, one cannot help but feel the weight of intention, the meticulous care of a civilization or an intelligence, capable of bridging earth and sky in ways modern humans can only marvel at. Yet the greatest enigma lies in what is absent. There is no record of the builders, no traces of the society that must have possessed such extraordinary knowledge. No texts, no settlements, no burial sites correspond to the temple's design, scale, or complexity. It exists in isolation, a monument without a known origin, challenging every assumption historians and archaeologists have ever made. The building is a statement in stone, a legacy that screams intelligence and precision across millennia, yet refuses to answer the simplest question: who made it, and why? The mind reels at the implications, the heart races with awe, and the soul trembles at the possibility that some knowledge, some mastery, has been lost, leaving only this silent, impossible monument behind. The stones themselves hold a story older than words, a language written in texture, color, and mass. Unlike ordinary rock formations, the materials used in the Moon Temple are extraordinary in every sense. Massive blocks quarried from distant mountains were transported across inhospitable terrain, yet bear no sign of wear or erosion from human handling. The surface of each stone is smooth, polished as if by hands that understood not just technique, but the very essence of material. Microscopic analysis reveals cuts and grooves that could not have been made with tools available to any known civilization of that era. Somehow, the builders shaped the rock with precision that defies both imagination and logic, producing edges so exact that modern engineers stand in awe, measuring angles with laser instruments and shaking their heads in disbelief. Even more astonishing is the choice of stone. Some blocks contain minerals not native to the immediate region, trace elements that can only be found dozens of miles away. Transporting such massive stones across rough terrain without modern technology seems impossible. Yet evidence suggests they were moved, positioned, and set with a precision that suggests not brute force alone, but knowledge of leverage, weight distribution, and stability that rivals contemporary engineering. In certain chambers, the stones resonate when tapped, producing tones that seem almost musical, hinting at an understanding of acoustics. Could the temple have been designed not just to endure, but to communicate through sound, vibration, and resonance? The surface of the stones often appears to shimmer under moonlight, as if they carry within them an inner luminosity. Some researchers speculate this effect is due to the mineral composition, while others suggest something more mysterious: a deliberate alignment with celestial light that makes the stones respond to the moon cycles. Observers have reported seeing certain carvings come alive under specific lunar phases, shadows deepening and shapes shifting subtly as the silver light moves across the walls. It is as though the stones themselves remember the moon's passage, encoded with knowledge waiting to be unlocked. This phenomenon challenges conventional science, blurring the line between geology and something far more enigmatic. Tool marks, or rather the absence of expected tool marks, present another puzzle. On closer inspection, some surfaces show signs of abrasion and smoothing that could indicate primitive chisels, yet other surfaces are impossibly precise, as if cut by a method beyond human capability. In some cases, grooves are so fine that they defy the sharpness of stone tools known to history. The uniformity and consistency of these marks suggest a technique, system, or technology entirely unknown. Attempts to replicate the results using modern machinery fail to achieve the same perfection. Scholars are forced to ask, was this precision the product of advanced tools, an extraordinary manual skill, or a process that we cannot yet comprehend? Embedded in the stones are faint traces of what might have been pigments, residues of colors that time has almost entirely erased. These traces hint that the temple was once vibrantly decorated, with walls and reliefs painted to enhance meaning or ritual effect. Tiny flecks of blue, red, and gold shimmer under specialized lighting, suggesting the builders used materials that were both rare and durable, capable of withstanding centuries of exposure. The evidence implies an intention to communicate, to awe, and perhaps even to guide those who entered. This is not mere decoration. It is deliberate, encoded expression, a silent narrative that complements the geometric and symbolic messages carved into each surface. Some stones bear scars that suggest repair or reinforcement, yet these modifications were made with the same care and sophistication as the original construction. There is no indication of hasty patching or crude fixes. Even adjustments follow precise alignment and ratios, maintaining structural integrity and aesthetic harmony. This consistency indicates a long-term understanding of the building's design, as if the temple were meant to endure indefinitely. It is almost as if the stones themselves demanded a kind of respect, requiring those who worked with them to follow unspoken rules, guided by knowledge lost to time. Chemical analysis of certain blocks reveals elements that are highly resistant to decay, minerals that preserve the stone's structure against erosion, moisture, and time. Some of these elements are found only in remote regions, far removed from the temple's location, suggesting deliberate selection and transportation. The builders were not merely constructing a building. They were creating a monument meant to survive millennia, a record in stone that would outlast civilizations, languages, and even memory itself. This foresight, combined with the technical mastery of the stones, raises profound questions about the intelligence behind the design. Who would invest such care, knowledge, and effort into a structure with no apparent contemporary purpose? Perhaps most haunting is the sense that the stones carry memory. Observers often report an almost imperceptible vibration when touching certain blocks, a hum that resonates in the fingertips and chest. Some scholars suggest this is psychological, a response to awe and scale. Others, however, propose a more radical idea: that the temple itself is a vessel of encoded knowledge, that the arrangement of stones, their composition, and their alignment create a system capable of storing information across time. It is a theory bordering on the metaphysical, yet difficult to dismiss when confronted with the precision, resilience, and alignment of the materials themselves. The stones are not passive. They are active participants in the temple's mystery. Walking among these massive blocks, one cannot escape a sense of reverence and fear. Each stone has a presence, a weight that transcends physical mass. Their placement is deliberate, their surfaces polished and patterned, their mineral composition carefully chosen. They seem to assert a silent authority, as if reminding all who approach that they are not merely objects, but carriers of a story, a code, a challenge to understanding. They speak without words, hinting at knowledge, intent, and mastery far beyond what the human mind can grasp. The Moon Temple, in every stone, insists on being acknowledged, studied, and revered, yet it refuses to surrender its secrets lightly. By the time one exits the inner chambers, the full impact of the stone's enigma becomes clear. The Moon Temple is not simply a building. It is a monumental statement of intent and intelligence. Each stone is a word, a sentence, a paragraph in a silent language written across time. The builders, whoever they were, left no record beyond the stone itself, yet the message is unmistakable. This place was crafted with knowledge, purpose, and understanding far beyond what humanity had achieved. The stones endure, eternal and unwavering, waiting for those capable of reading them. And as the wind rises again across the desert, carrying sand, dust, and echoes of forgotten hands, one truth becomes undeniable. The stones remember, even if we cannot yet understand. The walls of the Moon Temple are not merely stone. They are a canvas, a library, a codex carved into the earth itself. Every surface bears symbols, geometric patterns, and depictions of figures both familiar and alien, arranged with deliberate care. At first glance, the carvings seem decorative, ceremonial, or perhaps religious, but the more closely they are examined, the more it becomes evident that each mark is deliberate, purposeful, and encoded with meaning. There are no random scratches, no mistakes. Every curve, line, and angle has a rhythm, a pattern, and a resonance that suggests intelligence far beyond the simple aesthetic. Figures resembling humans are interwoven with animals, celestial objects, and forms that defy earthly classification. Some have elongated limbs, others feature heads that appear abstract, geometrical, almost symbolic rather than literal. Certain animals seem to merge into the humans, suggesting transformation, metamorphosis, or a union between species. Spirals and concentric circles appear near these depictions, sometimes aligning with lunar phases or specific star patterns. It is as though the carvings are not merely illustrations but a visual language, a code intended to convey knowledge of the cosmos, cycles of nature, or spiritual truths, accessible only to those with the insight or understanding to interpret them. Some carvings seem to tell stories, sequences of events frozen in stone. In one panel, a figure reaches toward a crescent moon, while another stands beneath a solar disk, and yet another kneels before a pattern of concentric rings. The sequence repeats in various forms along different walls, hinting at ritual, ceremony, or perhaps a set of instructions. It is as if the temple itself is narrating a story, one that humanity has forgotten, a tale encoded in geometry and symbol rather than words. Scholars attempt to decipher these sequences, yet each interpretation raises more questions than it answers. The carvings are precise, intricate, and deliberate, yet frustratingly opaque. Among the symbols, certain motifs recur with uncanny regularity. Spirals, triangles, interlocking circles, and nested shapes dominate the compositions, often appearing in combination with the figures of humans or animals. Mathematical precision is evident. Angles and ratios appear consistent, repeated with subtle variations that may encode time, cycles, or celestial phenomena. Researchers note that the carvings often align with natural light and shadow within the temple. At certain hours, moonlight illuminates specific carvings while others remain hidden, creating a dynamic narrative that shifts with the cycles of the sky. It is as if the temple itself is a living book, only legible when observed under precise cosmic conditions. Beyond geometry, the carvings suggest a profound understanding of astronomy. Some figures are oriented toward the lunar path, others toward specific constellations. Sequences of symbols indicate movement and change, possibly recording celestial events such as eclipses, solstices, or rare planetary alignments. In one chamber, shadows cast by the carvings form patterns on the floor only during a full moon, a phenomenon noted by several modern researchers. These alignments imply intentionality, suggesting that the builders not only understood celestial mechanics but incorporated them into the very design of the temple. The carvings become more than decoration. They are a map, a calendar, perhaps even a guide for rituals synchronized with the cosmos. Some carvings defy human comprehension entirely. Abstract forms appear that have no analog in the natural world, resembling mathematical symbols, diagrams, or structures that are alien in both design and purpose. Tiny, near-invisible grooves etched in perfect symmetry suggest methods of observation, tracking, or measurement that cannot be replicated with contemporary understanding. Scholars have debated whether these marks indicate lost knowledge, an unknown science, or a symbolic system beyond language. The patterns are too precise for randomness and too sophisticated for primitive societies, yet they predate the rise of known civilizations in the region. This paradox lies at the heart of the temple's enduring mystery. The carvings also evoke emotional response, as if designed to impact the observer on more than a purely intellectual level. Figures of humans in posture and gesture suggest awe, reverence, fear, or submission, while celestial symbols and abstract forms create a sense of scale and wonder. It is impossible not to feel small in the presence of these depictions, to sense that they were intended to remind humans of forces far greater than themselves. Some researchers report that spending prolonged time among the carvings induces subtle shifts in perception, a heightened awareness, or even a disquieting sense that the temple is observing them in return. The walls are not merely historical, they are psychological instruments, shaping experience as well as transmitting information. Certain carvings are remarkably consistent across different sections of the temple, suggesting intentional repetition rather than coincidence. Patterns reappear with minor variations, hinting at a language or symbolic system that encodes more than one level of meaning. Some may record astronomical data, others spiritual or philosophical concepts, and others possibly instructions or warnings. Attempts to translate them into known scripts or symbols have failed. The carvings are a puzzle designed to endure across millennia, challenging the mind, imagination, and perception of every observer. They are a silent testimony to the intelligence, intent, and foresight of the builders, leaving modern scholars grappling with questions for which no clear answers exist. Equally fascinating are the carvings found in hidden or hard-to-reach areas. Tunnels, elevated platforms, and niches contain detailed reliefs that seem almost secret, only visible to those who know where to look. These spaces suggest ritual significance, an element of initiation or discovery reserved for those prepared to seek them out. In these concealed areas, the carvings sometimes depict figures interacting with devices, or with celestial bodies in ways that hint at observation, calculation, or measurement. It is as if the builders anticipated not only the passage of time but the curiosity of future generations, leaving clues meant to challenge, instruct, or inspire. The more one studies these carvings, the clearer it becomes that the Moon Temple was not simply a place of worship or ceremonial practice. It is a repository of knowledge, a multidimensional record, and an instrument of interaction with forces beyond ordinary understanding. Geometry, astronomy, narrative, and emotion converge within the carvings, creating a language that speaks across centuries. The temple challenges observers to think, to feel, and to question what is possible. It is a reminder that history may hold secrets far older and more profound than anything recorded in texts, that knowledge can endure in stone long after the civilizations that created it have vanished. The deeper one investigates the Moon Temple, the more glaring the absence of human history becomes. Archaeologists and historians searching for evidence of a civilization that could have produced such a monument find only fragments, isolated artifacts, scattered tools, and rudimentary signs of habitation, but nothing that explains the temple's scale, sophistication, or purpose. There are no cities, no infrastructure, no written records, no cemeteries that might anchor it to a known people. It is as if the temple appeared fully formed, a monumental enigma plunked into the desert without context or origin. The absence is haunting. Every other civilization leaves traces: pottery, texts, coins, ruins of daily life. Here, the silence is deafening. Some researchers speculate that the builders were an unknown, advanced society that left no other mark on the world. A civilization lost entirely to history, erased by time, cataclysm, or deliberate concealment. They imagine a people capable of engineering marvels, sophisticated astronomy, and symbolic thought that rivaled, and perhaps exceeded, the achievements of societies known today. But if such a civilization existed, why is there no evidence elsewhere? The desert alone cannot explain it. Erosion may hide some traces, but it cannot erase an entire culture. The Moon Temple, monumental and permanent, appears almost solitary, a lone statement in a void, challenging the very assumptions about human history. The absence of recorded civilization raises deeper questions. Could it be that the temple predates known human settlements? Carbon dating of surrounding organic material, pottery shards, and scattered tools often conflicts with the estimated age of the temple itself, suggesting a construction timeline centuries, or even millennia, before the rise of local societies. If true, this implies that the builders were either an entirely different species, a lost branch of humanity, or a society so advanced and isolated that it left no other trace. Each possibility stretches credulity, yet the evidence is stubborn, forcing scholars to confront anomalies that resist explanation. Legends, however, hint that humanity may have once known more than it remembers. In scattered oral traditions across distant regions, elders speak of a place of the moon or stone of the sky, where knowledge of the heavens was preserved and where humans could commune with celestial forces. These stories are vague, allegorical, and sometimes contradictory, yet they persist across cultures separated by hundreds, even thousands of miles. Anthropologists suggest these tales may preserve fragments of memory from a lost era, passed down through generations in the absence of written records. Could the Moon Temple be the tangible remainder of such a memory, the one enduring monument that survived to speak across centuries? The mystery deepens with technological anomalies. Analysis of the stones reveals precision cuts, seamless joints, and alignment with celestial bodies that surpass the capabilities of any known ancient society. Tools found nearby, like obsidian knives or stone hammers, are insufficient to explain the work. Microscopic grooves in some blocks suggest cutting methods unknown to history, implying a level of engineering sophistication lost to time. The implication is unsettling. Either humans of that era possessed knowledge that has been completely forgotten, or the temple's creators were not human, or at least not known humans. This gap between possibility and evidence fuels theories that range from advanced lost civilizations to extraterrestrial involvement, though the truth remains tantalizingly out of reach. Every artifact in the vicinity contributes to the puzzle rather than resolving it. Small figurines depict beings that do not match any known fauna or human anatomy. Pottery shards are composed of materials that do not match local geology. Tools appear functional but are incompatible with the scale of the work. Even the smallest items suggest intelligence, intention, and purpose, yet they fail to connect to any known culture. They are fragments of a narrative erased before it could be fully told. The more investigators uncover, the more the absence of civilization becomes itself a defining presence. A ghostly void surrounding a monument that insists on acknowledgement but offers no answers. Some have turned to comparative analysis, examining similar structures worldwide. They find echoes of the Moon Temple in distant megalithic sites, temples aligned with lunar cycles, and monuments oriented toward celestial events. Yet the correlations are never exact. The Moon Temple surpasses all others in precision, scale, and mystery. It is not merely part of a global pattern. It is a singular anomaly, a nexus of geometry, astronomy, and symbolism unmatched anywhere else. Its creators were either singular geniuses, representatives of a forgotten culture, or participants in an entirely different tradition, lost from history. Every comparison reinforces the same conclusion. The temple stands alone, refusing to be assimilated into the accepted story of humanity. The absence of civilization also carries an emotional weight. Scholars who spend time at the site report feelings of disorientation, awe, and existential reflection. Standing before a monument of such sophistication, with no clear origin, provokes profound questions. Who were we before we knew ourselves? What knowledge have we lost? What truths exist beyond recorded history, waiting silently for those who dare to seek them? The Moon Temple becomes more than a physical structure. It is a mirror, reflecting the limitations of human understanding and the tantalizing possibility of knowledge beyond our grasp. It challenges assumptions, shakes confidence, and insists on humility. Even in the modern age, the absence of civilization is reinforced by the temple's isolation. No roads lead to it, no settlements surround it, no signs of occupation mark the desert. Explorers must traverse harsh terrain to reach its walls, often encountering nothing for miles. The desert itself seems complicit, guarding the site from casual discovery. Storms erase footprints, winds cover traces, and the remoteness ensures that the temple remains untouched, pristine, and enigmatic. Every expedition confirms the same truth. The Moon Temple exists in a vacuum of context, a monumental statement left in isolation, defying conventional history, inviting speculation, and demanding investigation. In the end, the lack of civilization is perhaps the temple's most striking feature. It is not merely a question of who built it, it is a question of what it represents. A civilization's absence transforms the structure into a message, a monument meant to endure, challenging humanity across millennia. The Moon Temple is a reminder that history is not complete, that knowledge can be hidden, lost, or deliberately erased. It forces observers to confront the possibility that we know far less about our past than we believe, and that some mysteries, encoded in stone and space, may forever resist full understanding. Walking deeper into the Moon Temple, one begins to sense that it was more than a monument. It was a stage, a carefully orchestrated space designed for ritual, ceremony, and communion with forces beyond the ordinary. The layout of the chambers, the alignment of corridors, the angles of the walls, and the placement of platforms all suggest intention far beyond mere construction. Observers often describe an almost palpable energy, a feeling that each step carries them deeper into a narrative written in stone, light, and shadow. Every chamber, every carving, every shaft of light appears to be part of a performance, a ritual sequence encoded into the very architecture of the temple itself. The central chamber, the heart of the temple, is particularly striking. Massive stone pillars rise like sentinels, supporting a ceiling carved with intricate lunar motifs. The moonlight, when it enters through strategically placed openings, falls on the floor in precise geometric patterns. These patterns shift with the lunar cycle, illuminating symbols and carvings at specific times of the month. Ancient texts, though scarce, hint at the significance of these alignments. They were believed to mark sacred moments, times when the temple's power or purpose was most potent. Modern observers, too, are captivated. As the silver light moves across the chamber, shadows lengthen and converge, forming shapes that seem almost alive, evoking awe, reverence, and an unsettling awareness of forces beyond comprehension. Artifacts within the temple reinforce its ceremonial function. Small altars, carved with precision, bear traces of substances that suggest offerings. Minerals, pigments, perhaps even organic materials. Tiny channels carved into stone floors indicate that liquids may have once been poured as part of rituals, possibly to interact with reflected light or to produce sound through resonant chambers. The carvings themselves, depicting figures reaching toward celestial bodies or engaging in transformation, suggest a ritualistic narrative, a story enacted through movement, timing, and symbolism. It is as though the temple was a theater for communion between the earthly and the celestial, a place where humans could participate in forces far beyond ordinary perception. The ceremonial paths are equally fascinating. Some corridors lead to hidden chambers, visible only from particular angles or under specific lighting conditions. Steps, platforms, and narrow passages are not random. They guide movement through the temple in a choreographed sequence. Observers report that walking these paths produces a heightened awareness, a rhythm to the body and mind that mirrors the temple's geometric and astronomical precision. It is as if the act of moving through the temple was itself part of the ritual, a performance designed to align humans with cosmic cycles, lunar phases, or perhaps even the temple's own internal energies. Acoustic design also plays a role. Certain chambers amplify whispers into the farthest corners, while others produce deep resonant tones when stone surfaces are tapped. These effects may have been used intentionally during rituals, creating auditory experiences that complemented the visual and spatial elements. Imagine standing in the center of a chamber, moonlight illuminating specific symbols on the floor, shadows dancing on walls, and sound resonating in ways that seem designed to affect both the mind and body. The combination of sight, sound, and movement creates an immersive environment, one that defies description and evokes profound emotional responses. It is ritual as theater, theater as science, science as art, all woven together in stone. The timing of ceremonies may have been equally sophisticated. Lunar cycles are embedded throughout the temple's design. Certain openings and shafts align perfectly with moonrise and moonset on specific nights of the year. Shadows fall across particular carvings only at precise moments, and patterns on the floors and walls shift with celestial movements. Some researchers have suggested that these moments were reserved for significant ritual activity, events meant to coincide with the temple's peak symbolic or energetic alignment. The builders appear to have integrated astronomy, geometry, and spirituality into a single, unified system, one that remains almost incomprehensible to modern observers, yet clearly served a profound ceremonial purpose. The ritualistic use of the temple may have involved more than observation. Carvings depict figures and poses that suggest meditation, dance, or precise gestures, sometimes interacting with symbols, objects, or celestial imagery. Small niches in walls could have held implements, offerings, or tools to assist in ceremony. The hidden chambers may have been spaces of initiation, secrecy, or preparation, accessed only by those who understood the temple's subtle logic. The sequence of movement, observation, and participation may have been as important as the objects themselves, a performance designed to align the human with the cosmos, to elevate consciousness, or to transfer knowledge. The temple appears to have been a laboratory for spiritual, astronomical, and perhaps even scientific exploration. One cannot understand the Moon Temple without considering its intimate relationship with the night sky. From the very first step inside, it becomes clear that the builders possessed a sophisticated knowledge of astronomy far beyond what is recorded for the region's known civilizations. Every chamber, corridor, and platform is oriented with deliberate precision, aligned not just to the cardinal points, but to the movements of the moon across its monthly and yearly cycles. Scholars who have studied these alignments note an extraordinary level of intentionality. The temple was designed to interact with lunar light in a way that transforms it from a static monument into a dynamic celestial instrument. During a full moon, certain corridors channel silvery light into the inner sanctum, illuminating carvings, symbols, and platforms in a pattern that changes subtly night by night. Shadows cast by pillars and walls converge at precise angles, forming geometric shapes that appear almost alive. On the nights of eclipses, rare solar and lunar events, the temple's design produces phenomena that seem preordained, as if the builders intended these moments to mark ceremonial, observational, or even astronomical significance. No modern attempt to replicate these effects has succeeded in fully capturing the precision, leaving researchers in awe of the skill and knowledge encoded in stone. The temple's relationship with the moon is not merely functional. It is symbolic. Lunar motifs recur throughout carvings, reliefs, and geometric patterns, reinforcing the impression that the cycles of the moon were central to the temple's purpose. Some carvings appear to represent the phases of the moon, while others align with its rising and setting at solstices and equinoxes. Even the most minute details, the angles of crescents, the orientation of spirals, the spacing between concentric circles, suggest deliberate observation of the heavens over many generations. It is as though the builders intended the temple to be a bridge between earth and sky, a conduit for knowledge, ritual, and perhaps even power. In certain chambers, the alignment is so precise that only the full moon's light can illuminate specific carvings or altars. This interplay of light and shadow transforms the space at night, creating a choreography that merges celestial movement with architectural design. Observers have described standing in these chambers during full moon nights and feeling as though time itself slows, as though the temple communicates through light and geometry. Such precision suggests more than casual observation. It implies meticulous tracking of lunar cycles, years of systematic measurement, and an understanding of astronomy that challenges assumptions about what ancient societies could achieve. The lunar alignments are complemented by subtle references to other celestial bodies. Constellations are hinted at in carvings, and certain platforms appear to correspond to star positions during specific seasons. Some researchers have theorized that the temple functioned as a lunar observatory, a tool for calculating time, predicting tides, or marking seasonal events critical for agriculture, ritual, or social organization. Yet the absence of comparable records from known civilizations makes this hypothesis extraordinary. Either the temple's builders were unique in their knowledge, or they belonged to a lost tradition that observed the cosmos in ways now forgotten. The temple's chambers also reveal an understanding of cycles and synchronization. Observations suggest that the designers were aware not only of the moon's monthly phases but of longer lunar cycles, possibly extending decades or even centuries. Shafts of light penetrate the walls in such a way that specific symbols or platforms are illuminated only at intervals corresponding to these extended cycles. Such precision implies long-term planning, an awareness of the continuity of time, and a capacity for observation and recording beyond immediate human lifespans. The temple itself becomes a chronometer, an instrument to measure and mark the passage of decades with a subtlety that defies modern engineering. One particularly striking feature is a circular chamber whose central platform aligns precisely with the moon's apex during the full moon at the summer solstice. When the light hits, it forms a perfect circle upon the floor, intersecting with carvings that depict celestial figures and ritual symbols. Scholars suggest that this alignment was deliberate, marking a sacred moment or occasion for observation, ceremony, or instruction. The precision of the construction is such that the effect would be imperceptible if the chamber were even slightly misaligned, a level of accuracy that hints at sophisticated surveying techniques, careful measurement, and profound knowledge of geometry and astronomy. The chamber becomes a testament to the temple's dual role as both sacred space and scientific instrument. In addition to lunar alignments, certain walls and corridors suggest knowledge of eclipses and planetary cycles. Patterns embedded in stone align with events that occur only once every several decades or centuries. These rare occurrences would have been predictable only with careful observation and record-keeping over many generations. The implication is staggering. The temple's creators may have tracked time and celestial movement across centuries, encoding their knowledge into architecture, geometry, and carvings that endure to this day. Unlike mere decorative alignment, these features speak to intentionality, foresight, and a systematic understanding of the heavens. Yet even with all this evidence, the exact purpose remains elusive. Was the temple purely ceremonial, using lunar and celestial alignments to mark sacred events? Or did it serve a scientific function, tracking time and space with accuracy far beyond its era? Perhaps it was both, a fusion of ritual, observation, and encoded knowledge. The more researchers study the alignments, the clearer it becomes that the Moon Temple is not a passive observer of the sky but an active participant, interacting with the cosmos in ways that defy modern understanding. Its design challenges the assumption that astronomical knowledge emerged gradually in human history. Here, it is fully formed, precise, and enigmatic. The emotional impact of witnessing these alignments cannot be understated. Scholars, explorers, and visitors alike report feelings of awe, insignificance, and a heightened sense of connection with the cosmos. Standing in a chamber precisely illuminated by lunar light, surrounded by carvings that encode astronomical cycles, one experiences both the intellect of the builders and their reverence for the universe. It is a sensory and cognitive experience unlike any other, merging observation, ritual, and mystery into a single, profound encounter. The Moon Temple is not merely a building. It is an interface with the celestial, a testament to understanding, patience, and the enduring human, or perhaps non-human, desire to connect with forces greater than ourselves. The more one contemplates the temple's lunar alignment, the more questions arise. How did the builders measure and calculate such precision without modern instruments? How did they ensure that centuries of construction, erosion, and time would not disrupt these alignments? And why is there no surviving record of their observations or techniques? Every answer seems to deepen the mystery, reinforcing the idea that the Moon Temple exists not only as a monument to what is known, but as a challenge to what is forgotten. It is a record of knowledge, a ritual instrument, and an enigma, all in one, silently bridging past, present, and sky in ways humanity still struggles to comprehend. Beneath the grandeur of the Moon Temple lies another mystery entirely. Hidden chambers and subterranean passages that hint at secrets deliberately concealed from the casual observer. While the temple's surface dazzles with precision, geometry, and celestial alignment, the underground spaces speak to a purpose even more enigmatic, a layer of intention designed for concealment, initiation, or perhaps protection. Many corridors descend gradually into darkness, their walls lined with carvings similar to those above ground, yet often more abstract, more secretive, as though the builders intended these spaces for those prepared to seek knowledge beyond the obvious. The subterranean areas transform the temple from a mere monument into a labyrinth of discovery, a place where the curious are rewarded or challenged with hidden truths. The entrance to these hidden spaces is often subtle. Some are concealed behind stone panels that appear ordinary, yet, when pressed in a certain sequence or illuminated by moonlight, slide to reveal narrow passages. Others are hidden beneath platforms or beneath the floor of ceremonial chambers. These secret entrances suggest that the temple's designers intended selective access, guiding only those who understood the temple's logic or possessed knowledge of its secret mechanisms. It is a deliberate act of preservation. Not all were meant to witness the temple's deepest mysteries, just as not all civilizations are granted the knowledge they crave. The Moon Temple seems to operate as both revelation and gatekeeper, offering insight while guarding it jealously. Inside the subterranean chambers, the atmosphere shifts. The air is cooler, heavier, tinged with the scent of stone and time. Shadows deepen, and the faint echoes of movement hint at the vastness of the spaces below. Walls are adorned with carvings and symbols that differ from those above, often more abstract, geometric, or mathematical. Some chambers contain stone platforms arranged in precise alignment with the temple's upper structures, as if reflecting or amplifying the rituals conducted above. Tiny shafts of light, perfectly engineered, reach from above to illuminate specific carvings only during select lunar phases, reinforcing the connection between surface and subterranean design. It is architecture as communication, a language in stone, encoded across levels and spaces. Certain chambers are particularly intriguing for their construction. Some are formed with walls so perfectly aligned that even the faintest tremor produces no damage. In others, the ceilings are adorned with subtle carvings designed to focus sound, creating resonance that carries across the chamber. Whispers here amplify, footsteps echo unnaturally, and minor vibrations travel along floors and walls in ways that suggest intentional acoustic design. It is as though these chambers were meant to be experienced, not merely entered. Sound, light, geometry, and movement converge in the underground spaces, producing sensory effects that are disorienting, awe-inspiring, and deeply mysterious. The Moon Temple becomes not only a visual marvel, but an immersive, multisensory instrument of ritual and knowledge. Artifacts found in these hidden spaces add to the enigma. Small stone implements, vessels, and fragments of unknown materials have been recovered, though few can be definitively linked to known civilizations. Some objects appear ceremonial, intended for use in rituals involving light, water, or sound. Others are clearly symbolic, marked with carvings or etchings that correspond to patterns found on the upper levels. There are even objects that seem utilitarian yet defy explanation. Mechanisms whose function is unclear, devices whose design is extraordinarily precise. The more scholars explore, the more they realize that these subterranean chambers were integral to the temple's overall purpose, not ancillary or decorative. They are a hidden layer of meaning, an underground codex awaiting interpretation. The alignment of these underground spaces with celestial cycles is another layer of complexity. Certain passages allow moonlight to penetrate only during precise lunar events, illuminating carvings or objects in patterns that repeat with seasonal or lunar regularity. In some cases, the effect produces geometric shapes on floors and walls that cannot be replicated with modern calculations, suggesting either extraordinary ancient knowledge or intentional concealment of methods now lost. These effects reinforce the idea that the temple was conceived as an interactive, time-sensitive instrument, where rituals, observation, and secret knowledge converge. The underground spaces are a mirror of the sky above, a reflection of celestial rhythms on Earth, captured in stone with uncanny precision. Researchers have long debated the purpose of the subterranean chambers. Were they designed for protection, safeguarding knowledge, sacred artifacts, or the initiates themselves? Were they laboratories for astronomical observation, chambers of meditation, or sites for initiation rituals that required isolation and heightened sensory focus? Perhaps they served multiple purposes, blending practical, ceremonial, and spiritual functions in a unified system. Whatever the intent, it is clear that the builders were meticulous in design, considering not only what would be seen above ground but also the experience, movement, and understanding of those who descended into the temple's depths. The underground chambers also reveal a striking sense of scale and ambition. Some passages extend for hundreds of meters, forming a labyrinthine network beneath the surface. Certain chambers appear to have been sealed intentionally, their entrances blocked by massive stone slabs, perhaps to protect what lay within from intruders or from the passage of time itself. Archaeologists and explorers often report a sense of disorientation, an awareness of being observed, or even an emotional weight that feels almost tangible. The subterranean spaces transform the Moon Temple from a physical marvel into a psychological and emotional experience, challenging perceptions of space, time, and human understanding. In many ways, the hidden chambers are the essence of the temple's mystery. While the surface dazzles with astronomical alignments, carvings, and architectural precision, the underground reveals the depth of intention, secrecy, and knowledge embedded in every stone. They suggest a civilization or intelligence, capable not only of monumental engineering but also of sophisticated psychological and ritual design. The chambers serve as a reminder that the temple was not built for casual observation, but for immersive engagement, for those willing to seek, to question, and to understand. The subterranean spaces also emphasize the paradox of the Moon Temple. Monumental, enduring, yet largely unconnected to any known civilization. The builders left a legacy so extraordinary that it challenges the boundaries of history, yet they concealed it beneath layers of stone and shadow. Every discovery in the underground chambers raises new questions. Who were these builders? What was their knowledge and why was it hidden? Were the chambers designed for human use, or were they intended to interface with something beyond human perception? Each stone, corridor, and chamber resists simple interpretation, reinforcing the sense that the Moon Temple was a repository of secrets, intended to endure across millennia while revealing only fragments to those willing to explore. Ultimately, the hidden chambers transform the Moon Temple from a monumental marvel into a profound enigma. They reveal intentionality, secrecy, and sophistication far beyond what was known for any civilization in the region. The subterranean spaces are as much a part of the temple's design as its surface, offering both awe and unanswered questions. They invite exploration, reflection, and speculation, leaving modern observers both humbled and perplexed. As one emerges from the shadows into the moonlit courtyards above, the realization becomes clear. The Moon Temple is a structure of infinite depth, literal and symbolic, whose secrets lie as much below the surface as they do in the heavens above. Among the Moon Temple's most enigmatic features are the artifacts scattered throughout its chambers, particularly in hidden or ceremonial areas. These objects, ranging from carved stone implements to vessels of unknown composition, suggest a culture or intelligence that possessed extraordinary skill, symbolic sophistication, and a meticulous understanding of purpose. Unlike ordinary artifacts from known ancient civilizations, these items often defy conventional categorization. Some are functional, yet their function remains a mystery. Others are clearly symbolic, yet their meaning is not recorded anywhere. Together, they form a collection that hints at ritual, observation, and perhaps knowledge that has vanished from history. One of the most striking categories of artifacts are small stone tools and implements. At first glance, they appear simple: chisels, blades, and hammers, but closer examination reveals an extraordinary precision in their design. Edges are impossibly sharp, surfaces polished with uniformity, and shapes molded to exact proportions. Many appear to have been used for carving, cutting, or engraving, yet the surfaces of the temple's massive stones bear marks that even these implements cannot account for. This discrepancy raises unsettling questions. Were these tools supplementary, ceremonial, or merely symbolic placeholders? Or did they represent a technology that combined manual skill with techniques now lost to humanity? The answers remain elusive, leaving the tools both mundane and profoundly mysterious. Vessels of unknown material add another layer of intrigue. Some are smooth, almost glass-like, yet chemical analysis suggests compositions not found in the surrounding environment. Tiny traces of residues hint that these vessels may have contained liquids or substances used in ritual or symbolic practice. Could they have been part of ceremonial libations, alchemical experiments, or offerings designed to interact with light, sound, or even vibration within the temple? The vessels are often arranged in deliberate patterns, suggesting intentional placement that mirrors geometric alignments found elsewhere in the temple. Even their placement seems to be part of a ritual choreography, designed to align human action with celestial, acoustic, or symbolic forces. Among the most puzzling artifacts are objects that appear technological, yet possess no parallel in known history. Small mechanisms, carved stone devices, and implements with precise grooves and interlocking components suggest knowledge of engineering principles beyond what would be expected in an era predating recorded civilization. Some devices appear capable of rotation or calibration, hinting at functions related to measurement, observation, or even celestial tracking. Attempts to reconstruct or operate these devices with modern understanding often fail, reinforcing the sense that the Moon Temple's creators were operating with knowledge that has been entirely lost. These artifacts become more than tools. They are symbols of an intelligence that mastered material, geometry, and possibly even phenomena that remain unexplained. Symbols engraved on or alongside artifacts provide further insight. Tiny carvings on vessels, implements, and ceremonial objects mirror patterns found throughout the temple. Spirals, concentric circles, interlocking triangles, and abstract forms. The repetition of these motifs suggests a system of meaning, possibly a language or code, linking the artifacts with the temple's architecture, carvings, and celestial alignments. The objects are not isolated. They are integrated into a broader schema, forming a network of material, spatial, and symbolic intelligence. They indicate that the temple's creators considered not only the placement of stones and corridors, but also the objects within, crafting a complete environment of ritual, observation, and encoded knowledge. The placement of artifacts often coincides with subtle architectural features. Small niches, hidden chambers, and raised platforms are carefully designed to accommodate them. Some objects are positioned to interact with light at specific times, casting shadows or reflecting illumination onto carvings or floor patterns. Others are located near acoustic focal points, suggesting they may have been part of sonic rituals. The coordination between artifacts, architecture, and natural phenomena is meticulous, implying a level of planning and foresight that borders on the extraordinary. Every object appears to have purpose, yet the precise nature of that purpose remains frustratingly out of reach. Residues and traces on these artifacts suggest a range of materials once used in conjunction with them. Minerals, pigments, organic compounds, and even traces of metal hint at ceremonial, experimental, or symbolic activity. Some substances may have been used for illumination, others for purification, and still others for unknown energetic or spiritual purposes. The combination of the material evidence and the placement of objects suggests that these artifacts were active participants in the temple's functions. They were not passive objects of display. They were integrated into rituals, observation, or exercises in knowledge and awareness, interacting with light, shadow, and sound in ways that transcend mere utility. The artifacts also provide insight into the intellectual and philosophical sophistication of the builders. Their design indicates an awareness of proportion, symmetry, and resonance, linking them with broader principles observed in the temple's architecture and carvings. They may have served as teaching tools, symbolic guides, or instruments for observation, allowing participants to engage with the temple's principles on multiple levels. In this sense, the artifacts are simultaneously practical, symbolic, and didactic. They encapsulate knowledge in tangible form, offering a pathway to understanding the temple's deeper mysteries without relying solely on textual or verbal explanation. Some artifacts hint at ceremonial hierarchy or exclusivity. Certain objects are located in hidden or hard-to-reach chambers, suggesting that access to them was restricted to initiates or those with specific knowledge. The temple's designers may have intended these artifacts as part of an initiation process, revealing layers of meaning incrementally as understanding deepened. Others may have been used in rituals reserved for specific celestial events or lunar phases, reinforcing the interplay between temporal cycles, observation, and ceremonial practice. In every case, the artifacts emphasize intention, control, and the careful orchestration of experience. Finally, the cumulative effect of the artifacts is profoundly emotional. Handling even a fragmentary tool, gazing upon a small vessel, or tracing a carved symbol evokes awe, reverence, and curiosity. These objects are remnants of a civilization or intelligence that understood the interconnectedness of material, architecture, and cosmos. They are evidence of deliberate thought, precision, and purpose, challenging modern assumptions about the capabilities of ancient societies. In their presence, one feels both humbled and inspired, acutely aware of how much knowledge has been lost and how little is truly understood. The artifacts of the Moon Temple are more than relics. They are extensions of the temple itself. They embody knowledge, ritual, and design, bridging the gap between the builder's intentions and the observer's experience. They suggest an intelligence capable of integrating material mastery, symbolic communication, and environmental awareness into a cohesive system. And yet, like the temple itself, they resist easy interpretation, leaving modern visitors with questions that echo across centuries. Who created these objects? What knowledge did they encode? And what truths might still be waiting to be discovered within the stone, shadow, and light of the Moon Temple? Scattered throughout the Moon Temple are enigmatic inscriptions that seem to hold fragments of knowledge lost to time. Unlike the larger carvings depicting human, animal, and celestial forms, these inscriptions are smaller, precise, and often hidden in niches, along corridors, or etched onto ceremonial platforms. They do not resemble any known language, script, or symbolic system from the surrounding regions. Scholars have pored over them for decades, attempting to correlate shapes with sounds, letters, or numbers, yet no consistent pattern emerges. The inscriptions exist in a liminal space between writing and symbol, between meaning and abstraction. A silent code that teases understanding while defying interpretation. The placement of these inscriptions is deliberate. Many appear in conjunction with carvings of celestial bodies, geometric patterns, or ritual objects, suggesting that they serve as explanatory, guiding, or amplifying symbols. Some are aligned with shafts of light that penetrate chambers during specific lunar events, highlighting their presence only under precise conditions. The inscriptions may have served as instructions for ritual, markers for astronomical observation, or symbolic representations of abstract concepts. Their subtlety implies that only a knowledgeable observer would understand their significance, further emphasizing the temple's role as a controlled environment of initiation and revelation. Closer examination reveals that the inscriptions are not random scratches but meticulously designed elements. Grooves are uniform, angles precise, and placement intentional. Some appear to encode sequences, repeating motifs, or patterns that correspond to other symbols throughout the temple. In certain hidden chambers, clusters of inscriptions form dense networks of geometric shapes, spirals, and interlocking lines that suggest a complex system of knowledge. It is as if the builders were embedding multiple layers of meaning, creating a multidimensional script that operates on visual, spatial, and temporal levels. Decoding such a system may require not just intellectual effort, but direct experience of the temple itself. The inscriptions also hint at philosophical or metaphysical concepts. Certain clusters appear alongside representations of transformation, cycles of life, and celestial movement, suggesting a worldview in which humans, animals, and the cosmos are interconnected. Some inscriptions seem to encode abstract principles, change, balance, resonance, that may have been central to the builder's understanding of existence. Unlike ordinary writing, these marks communicate through form, rhythm, and pattern rather than phonetics. They are simultaneously symbolic, didactic, and experiential, demanding engagement rather than passive observation. In essence, the inscriptions turn the temple into a living text, readable not only with the eyes but with the mind, senses, and perhaps even intuition. Attempts to decode the inscriptions using comparative linguistics or symbolic analysis have yielded tantalizing but inconclusive results. Some researchers suggest links to proto-writing systems or to symbolic traditions found in distant regions, while others propose that the inscriptions are entirely unique, representing a lost mode of communication that has no modern analog. Digital imaging and 3D mapping reveal that certain clusters are deliberately positioned to interact with light, shadow, or physical perspective, indicating that the inscriptions may be multisensory, meant to change appearance or significance depending on time, observer, or viewing angle. Every attempt at translation reinforces the sense of intentional mystery. The inscriptions also appear in tandem with artifacts and tools found within the temple. Carvings on small vessels, ceremonial implements, and stone devices often echo shapes or motifs found in larger inscriptions. This integration suggests that the temple's creators conceived their environment as a unified system, in which objects, architecture, and symbols communicate collectively. The inscriptions are not isolated records but nodes in a network of meaning, connecting space, time, and material into a coherent, if opaque, system. Each mark is a deliberate choice, a piece of a puzzle designed to endure across centuries and convey wisdom only to those capable of perceiving its logic. Some inscriptions are hidden in ways that indicate secrecy or exclusivity. They are located on high walls, behind panels, or in low niches only visible from specific angles. Certain markings are illuminated only when shafts of moonlight enter at precise moments, revealing their presence and significance. These hidden inscriptions imply a tiered system of knowledge, in which information is revealed gradually, depending on the observer's insight, preparation, or timing. The temple functions not only as a monument but as a teacher, guiding those who engage with it deeper into understanding through experience, observation, and discovery. The inscriptions also interact with rhythm, sound, and spatial awareness. In chambers with acoustic design, certain markings correspond to resonance points where sound waves converge, amplify, or echo. Observers who produce sound in these locations note that the inscriptions seem to respond visually through shadow or subtle light reflection. While these effects may be accidental to the untrained eye, the precision and repetition throughout the temple strongly suggest intentionality. Sound, light, space, and symbol converge to create an immersive experience, turning the inscriptions into active participants rather than static text. Emotionally, the inscriptions provoke awe, frustration, and curiosity in equal measure. They hint at knowledge beyond human reach, at principles and concepts that may have shaped the builder's understanding of life, time, and the cosmos. Observers describe a sensation of being both invited and challenged, as though the inscriptions communicate a message yet to be fully grasped. The experience is at once intellectual, emotional, and psychological, encouraging reflection on the limits of human understanding, the nature of perception, and the depth of ancient or alien wisdom encoded in stone. Finally, the inscriptions reinforce the Moon Temple's overarching mystery. Its builders were not ordinary humans, and the knowledge they encoded was not intended for casual observers. Every mark, groove, and motif is deliberate, a testament to an intelligence capable of integrating architecture, ritual, celestial observation, and symbolic language into a unified system. The inscriptions function as guides, markers, and instruments of initiation, emphasizing that the temple was designed to challenge, teach, and transform. They are both record and riddle, offering glimpses of understanding while withholding full comprehension, ensuring that the mystery endures across millennia. The enigmatic inscriptions of the Moon Temple are more than decorative motifs. They are encoded wisdom, layered experience, and symbolic instruction all at once. They demand engagement, reflection, and curiosity, transforming the temple from a simple monument into an interactive, multidimensional system. By preserving these markings, the builders created a link between past and present, between human or non-human intelligence and the observer willing to seek understanding. The inscriptions stand as silent witnesses, inviting us to question history, knowledge, and the very nature of perception itself. They are proof that the Moon Temple is not merely a place of stone and shadow, but a living repository of coded insight, waiting for those bold enough to decipher its enduring mysteries. The Moon Temple's deepest mysteries may lie not in its stones, carvings, or inscriptions, but in the rituals that once brought it to life. Evidence suggests that the temple was not a static monument but an active stage for ceremonial practices, some of which were likely elaborate, symbolic, and transformative. The traces of offerings, carved platforms, and subtle architectural features indicate that ritual activity was central to the temple's purpose, integrating space, sound, light, and movement into experiences that were as spiritual as they were intellectual. These ceremonies appear to have been meticulously choreographed, designed to connect the participants not only with the temple itself but with the cosmos, the moon, and perhaps forces beyond ordinary perception. Archaeologists have noted repeated patterns across the temple that suggest processions or sequences of movement. Certain corridors appear to guide participants through stages of experience, from entrance through illuminated chambers to hidden spaces deep within the structure. Along these paths, the alignment of walls, platforms, and light sources suggests that every step was deliberate. Participants may have been guided to observe, meditate, or act at precise moments, experiencing rituals that unfolded like a narrative across the temple's geometry. The choreography implies a sophisticated understanding of human perception, creating experiences that heightened awareness and elicited profound emotional responses. Evidence of offerings adds further depth to the understanding of ritual practices. Scattered vessels, mineral residues, and traces of organic matter indicate that participants may have brought gifts or conducted ceremonial acts as part of their engagement with the temple. Some offerings were positioned to interact with light, reflecting it onto specific carvings or altars at critical moments. Others may have been used to produce sound or scent, transforming the temple into a multisensory environment where all senses were engaged. These practices suggest a holistic approach to ritual, integrating the physical, the symbolic, and the experiential into a single, immersive practice. The use of light in ritual cannot be overstated. Moonlight and shafts of sunlight penetrate the temple at precise angles, illuminating carvings, inscriptions, and platforms at specific times of the lunar cycle. Observers speculate that rituals were conducted to coincide with these celestial alignments, reinforcing the connection between participants and the cosmos. Light becomes a tool, a signal, and a symbolic medium, guiding participants' attention and heightening the impact of the ceremonial act. In this way, the temple itself becomes a participant in the ritual, its architecture and design amplifying and shaping human experience. Sound appears to have been another crucial element. Certain chambers are acoustically designed to amplify whispers, footsteps, or ceremonial utterances, while others produce resonant tones when stone surfaces are tapped. These effects may have been used to create immersive auditory experiences, signaling transitions between stages of the ritual or reinforcing the symbolic power of ceremonial actions. By combining light, sound, movement, and architecture, the builders crafted experiences that engaged both mind and body, transforming simple acts into profound encounters with the temple and the cosmos. The structure of ritual also suggests a progression of knowledge or initiation. Hidden chambers, difficult-to-access platforms, and secretive inscriptions indicate that participants may have undergone stages of understanding, gradually unlocking deeper mysteries as they progressed. Not every participant would have had access to all spaces, suggesting a deliberate system of hierarchy, initiation, or experiential learning. The Moon Temple appears to have been designed not merely for observation but for engagement, guiding participants through stages of perception and understanding that mirrored the cycles of the moon, the movements of celestial bodies, or the principles encoded in the temple's geometry. The psychological and emotional impact of these rituals would have been significant. Standing in illuminated chambers, hearing amplified sounds, and moving through spaces designed with precision, participants would have felt a profound connection to something greater than themselves. Some scholars suggest that these rituals may have induced altered states of consciousness, heightened awareness, or a sense of communion with celestial or spiritual forces. The careful integration of sensory stimuli, spatial design, and symbolic content implies that the temple's builders understood human perception and cognition in ways that remain remarkable, even by modern standards. Ritual implements and artifacts further illuminate ceremonial practice. Objects such as vessels, carved tools, and symbolic figurines were likely used in conjunction with ritual acts, amplifying meaning or marking stages in ceremonial sequences. Some artifacts appear functional, others symbolic, and many are integrated into the temple's broader alignment with light, sound, and geometry. Their deliberate placement and design suggests that the rituals were both practical and symbolic, engaging participants in actions that were meaningful, instructive, and deeply affecting. In essence, the Moon Temple's rituals were an orchestrated dialogue between human, material, and cosmos. Some researchers have proposed that certain rituals may have involved the measurement or observation of celestial phenomena. Platforms aligned with lunar or stellar cycles, combined with precise light and shadow effects, suggest that ritual and observation were intertwined. Participants may have conducted ceremonies to track lunar cycles, mark seasonal transitions, or interact with celestial events in ways that were both spiritual and scientific. The line between ceremony and research is blurred, indicating that the temple functioned as a space where knowledge, ritual, and cosmic awareness were inseparable. The ceremonial narrative also appears to incorporate transformation. Carvings, inscriptions, and the progression through the temple suggest that participants were guided through experiences that symbolically mirrored cycles of death and rebirth, knowledge and enlightenment, or connection and transcendence. The movement through space, interaction with light and sound, and engagement with ritual implements may have been intended to transform perception, consciousness, or social identity. In this way, the temple's ceremonies were not merely performances. They were experiences designed to leave lasting impressions, shaping understanding, belief, and the participants' relationship with the world and cosmos. The combination of secrecy, architecture, artifacts, and celestial alignment emphasizes the extraordinary sophistication of these ritual practices. The Moon Temple was not a site for casual observation. It was a carefully constructed system in which every element, from the smallest vessel to the largest chamber, served a purpose within ceremonial experience. Its design reveals a culture or intelligence that understood the interplay of human perception, environmental phenomena, and symbolic meaning. The rituals were immersive, multi-layered, and deeply intentional, turning the temple into a living instrument of knowledge, transformation, and communion. Ultimately, the rituals of the Moon Temple reveal its creator's mastery of both material and immaterial realms. They integrated architecture, light, sound, movement, and symbolism to create experiences that transcended ordinary understanding. Participation in these ceremonies would have demanded focus, knowledge, and perhaps even initiation, rewarding insight with profound emotional and cognitive experiences. The temple's rituals are both a window into the builder's sophistication and a reminder of how much knowledge humanity may have lost. Through these ceremonies, the Moon Temple asserts its role as a space not only of construction and alignment but of deep human, or non-human, engagement with the mysteries of the cosmos. Beyond the stones, artifacts, and inscriptions of the Moon Temple lies another layer of mystery: the mythology and oral traditions that have accumulated around it over centuries. Unlike written records, these stories were passed from generation to generation, shaped by memory, imagination, and cultural interpretation. They speak of the temple not only as a physical structure but as a place of power, enigma, and transformation. Villagers, travelers, and distant civilizations all seem to have recognized the temple's significance, weaving tales that blur the line between history, myth, and legend. These stories offer a window into how human perception interacts with monumental mystery, giving life to the temple in ways that transcend stone and shadow. One of the most persistent myths concerns the Moon Temple's origins. According to local oral traditions, it was built by beings from beyond known civilization, whether celestial visitors, enlightened sages, or forgotten societies. Some stories describe the builders as possessing knowledge and skills far surpassing those of ordinary humans, capable of working stone with impossible precision, aligning structures with stars and moons, and encoding complex systems of ritual and meaning. The mythological accounts emphasize that the temple was not merely built for human use, but as a bridge between realms, a place where the earthly and the celestial intersected. These legends preserve the memory of awe, mystery, and respect that the temple inspired long before modern archaeology began to probe its secrets. Another layer of mythology describes the temple as a site of initiation or transformation. Oral traditions recount journeys through its chambers as trials of understanding, courage, or perception. Participants are said to emerge altered, enlightened, or spiritually elevated, having encountered truths or experiences unavailable elsewhere. These narratives often intertwine with the temple's architectural features. Secret corridors, hidden chambers, and celestial alignments are portrayed as tests or guides, directing initiates through a process of discovery and revelation. The myths suggest that the temple itself was considered a teacher, capable of imparting wisdom and insight through experience, rather than through written instruction alone. Stories of celestial connection also dominate oral accounts. The temple is frequently described as a place where the movements of the moon and stars are not merely observed but harmonized with human action. Legends speak of ceremonies timed to lunar phases, eclipses, or other cosmic events, in which the temple becomes a conduit for communication with celestial forces. Some tales even suggest that the temple could amplify or harness cosmic energy, a gift or tool left by the builders for those attuned to its mysteries. These narratives, though unverifiable, capture the sense that the Moon Temple was perceived as a living interface between humanity and the cosmos, resonating with forces beyond immediate understanding. Myths also recount encounters with guardians, keepers, or mysterious figures associated with the temple. These beings are often described as protectors of knowledge, guiding or testing those who seek entry into hidden chambers or sacred spaces. Sometimes they appear as human figures, other times as ethereal entities, blending elements of the spiritual and the tangible. Their presence reinforces the idea that the temple's knowledge was not meant for all, that access required not only courage and skill but insight, perception, and respect. Such stories suggest a consciousness behind the architecture, a design that is as much ethical and pedagogical as it is structural or astronomical. Oral traditions often emphasize secrecy and caution. Tales warn of danger, misfortune, or even madness for those who attempt to enter without preparation or understanding. Certain chambers or artifacts are described as protected by unseen forces, activated only at precise moments or by those with the correct knowledge. These legends serve both to preserve the temple and to instill reverence for it, framing it as a space where hubris is punished and humility rewarded. In this way, the mythology itself becomes an extension of the temple's architecture, guiding behavior, perception, and understanding across generations. The mythology surrounding the Moon Temple is surprisingly consistent across distant regions and cultures. Travelers' tales and regional legends, recorded centuries apart, share common themes: celestial alignment, transformative rituals, hidden knowledge, and extraordinary builders. This consistency suggests that the temple's reputation spread far beyond its immediate vicinity, captivating human imagination across vast distances. The legends preserve not only awe but also fragments of knowledge, encoded in symbolic language and narrative form. Even where historical accuracy falters, the myths offer insight into how the temple was perceived, revered, and feared. Some legends focus on the temple's transformative or supernatural aspects. Stories speak of time bending within its chambers, of individuals experiencing visions or insights beyond ordinary perception, and of light and shadow moving in ways that defy normal explanation. While these accounts may be embellished, they align uncannily with the architectural and astronomical features uncovered by modern researchers. Shafts of moonlight, acoustically precise chambers, and hidden inscriptions all produce effects that could inspire such tales. The interplay between observation and imagination, ritual and myth, highlights the way the temple actively shaped human experience, both materially and psychologically. Mythology also frames the temple in terms of morality and human behavior. Many stories warn that only those with reverence, humility, or understanding can engage safely with its mysteries, while greed, curiosity without preparation, or disrespect invites misfortune. The temple becomes a moral instrument, teaching lessons through experience and consequence. This ethical dimension, embedded in narrative, architecture, and ritual, suggests that the Moon Temple was conceived as a total system: physical, symbolic, celestial, and moral, guiding behavior and thought across multiple domains simultaneously. Finally, the oral traditions emphasize enduring wonder. Even as generations passed, the Moon Temple retained its aura of mystery, inspiring storytellers, pilgrims, and scholars alike. Legends transform the temple from a collection of stones and carvings into a living narrative, a place where human imagination and memory amplify its power and meaning. The mythology preserves the emotional and cognitive impact of the temple, ensuring that its significance transcends time, culture, and even empirical knowledge. In this sense, the myths are not mere embellishment. They are an essential part of the Moon Temple's legacy, linking the tangible and intangible, the historical and the legendary, into a continuum of awe and inquiry. Through mythology and oral tradition, the Moon Temple becomes more than an archaeological site. It becomes a living story, a bridge between human perception and cosmic mystery. It teaches that knowledge is not always written, that wisdom may be encoded in narrative, experience, and memory. The legends remind us that the temple was designed to inspire, instruct, and challenge, preserving lessons that resonate across centuries. They reinforce the idea that the Moon Temple is both a historical enigma and a cultural touchstone, its impact enduring not only through stone but through the stories that human beings continue to tell. The allure of the Moon Temple has drawn explorers, archaeologists, and adventurers for centuries, each seeking to uncover the secrets that have eluded history. Modern investigations began in earnest in the early 20th century, when regional explorers documented the temple's massive stones, intricate carvings, and precise alignments. Initial studies focused on mapping its structure, photographing its chambers, and recording inscriptions, yet the sheer scale and complexity of the site quickly became apparent. Every expedition revealed layers of sophistication, hidden chambers, and artifacts that challenged contemporary understanding of ancient engineering, astronomy, and ritual practice. The temple was not merely a ruin to be catalogued. It was a puzzle, a riddle embedded in stone. Early accounts describe the mixture of awe and fear felt by those who first set foot in the temple. Explorers reported that even simple acts, such as walking down the main corridors or entering shadowed chambers, elicited a sense of being watched, a feeling that the temple itself was aware of their presence. Shadows seemed to move differently, sound echoed unpredictably, and light from the moon created fleeting patterns that defied explanation. Some scholars dismissed these experiences as psychological responses to isolation and grandeur, but repeated observations across multiple expeditions suggested a deliberate manipulation of perception. The builders may have designed the temple to affect those who entered, creating an immersive experience that blurred the line between reality, ritual, and revelation. Archaeological teams encountered immediate challenges due to the temple's intricate construction. Many stones were precisely cut and interlocked without mortar, forming walls that had withstood centuries of seismic activity and weathering. Hidden chambers were often blocked by massive stone slabs, requiring ingenuity and careful measurement to access. Even minor miscalculations risked damaging structures that had survived millennia. The extraordinary craftsmanship prompted comparisons with other monumental constructions across the world, yet the Moon Temple's combination of astronomical precision, hidden architecture, and ritual integration remained unique. Every discovery reinforced the sense that the builders possessed knowledge far beyond what contemporary civilizations were thought capable of achieving. One of the most significant breakthroughs came with the discovery of previously unrecorded underground chambers. Advanced surveying techniques revealed networks of tunnels and passageways, some sealed intentionally with massive stones. Within these subterranean spaces were artifacts, inscriptions, and platforms that aligned with celestial events, echoing the design principles found above ground. The chambers also demonstrated deliberate acoustic properties, with sound amplification and resonance points that may have played a role in ceremonial practices. These findings transformed the understanding of the temple from a surface-level marvel into a complex, multi-layered system designed for experience, observation, and ritual engagement. Field notes and photographs from early expeditions reveal a gradual uncovering of the temple's hidden logic. Archaeologists began to map the alignments of corridors with lunar and solar cycles, correlating shafts of light with ceremonial platforms and carvings. They documented patterns in the inscriptions and motifs, noting that certain symbols appeared only in illuminated chambers or in relation to specific artifacts. The combination of architecture, astronomy, and ritual practice suggested that the temple functioned as an integrated system of knowledge, where each element, stone, artifact, inscription, or chamber, was part of a larger, deliberate design. Explorers realized they were not merely documenting a ruin. They were piecing together a sophisticated interface between human ingenuity and cosmic order. The role of explorers extended beyond documentation. They also confronted the challenges of preservation and interpretation. Many artifacts were fragile, residues and pigments degraded, and hidden inscriptions were susceptible to erosion from human activity. Teams had to balance curiosity with caution, carefully analyzing each discovery while protecting the integrity of the site. Excavation techniques were adapted to the temple's unique construction, often requiring innovative solutions to access hidden chambers or recover artifacts without damage. These modern interventions allowed researchers to gain unprecedented insight into the temple's design, function, and symbolism, yet also highlighted the delicate balance between discovery and preservation. Some explorers reported encounters with natural phenomena that amplified the temple's mystique. Sudden shafts of moonlight would illuminate hidden carvings, acoustic chambers would magnify whispers, and certain platforms produced vibrations or resonances that were impossible to anticipate. While modern scientists attempted to explain these effects through geometry, acoustics, and optical physics, many felt that the temple's design deliberately created moments of wonder, awe, and disorientation. The interplay between human perception and architectural precision suggested that the builders understood not only materials and astronomy but also psychology, crafting experiences that elicited emotional and cognitive responses with subtlety and depth. Modern technology has further revolutionized exploration of the Moon Temple. LiDAR scanning, 3D modeling, and digital reconstruction have revealed hidden corridors, previously unobserved patterns, and potential alignments with distant stars. Chemical analysis of residues on artifacts and vessels has shed light on ceremonial practices, while micro-excavation techniques have uncovered faint inscriptions and carvings obscured by time. These advances have confirmed that the temple's complexity is greater than initially imagined, and that its design encompasses multiple layers of purpose: astronomical, ceremonial, symbolic, and psychological. Each expedition uncovers new enigmas, proving that the Moon Temple is not a finite puzzle but a dynamic repository of knowledge, waiting to be experienced, analyzed, and interpreted. Explorers' accounts also underscore the temple's enduring emotional impact. Visitors consistently describe a sense of awe, reverence, and even fear upon entering its chambers. The precision of construction, the alignment with celestial events, and the mysterious artifacts all combine to create an immersive encounter that challenges ordinary perception. Field notes often emphasize the feeling of stepping into a space shaped not only by human hands but by intelligence that transcends ordinary understanding. The temple seems alive in a metaphorical sense, responding to light, sound, and human presence in ways that provoke contemplation, wonder, and humility. Finally, the role of modern archaeological investigation highlights the contrast between discovery and mystery. Despite decades of study, the Moon Temple continues to defy definitive explanation. Each new find, an artifact, an inscription, or a hidden chamber, raises further questions, challenging assumptions about the capabilities and knowledge of its builders. Modern explorers, scientists, and historians are caught in a tension between empirical investigation and the recognition that some aspects of the temple may remain unknowable. Yet this tension itself becomes part of the temple's narrative, a reflection of its enduring power to inspire curiosity, provoke wonder, and challenge human understanding. Through the eyes of explorers, the Moon Temple emerges as a living monument, simultaneously ancient and timeless, material and mystical. Their work bridges centuries, connecting contemporary humans with the builders of a site that defies classification, expectation, and easy comprehension. The discoveries, challenges, and experiences of those who have explored the temple illuminate not only its architectural and astronomical sophistication, but also the human drive to seek understanding, confront mystery, and engage with forces that transcend ordinary perception. In this sense, modern exploration becomes a continuation of the temple's purpose, extending the dialogue between knowledge, experience, and the cosmos across generations. Modern scientific studies of the Moon Temple have transformed our understanding of its purpose, revealing layers of astronomical, geometric, and environmental sophistication that hint at knowledge far beyond what might be expected for the time. Researchers have approached the site with a combination of archaeology, astronomy, geology, and materials science, seeking to uncover the principles behind its construction and function. From celestial alignments to structural precision, the temple reveals an extraordinary interplay between human ingenuity and the natural world, suggesting that its creators were not only architects and engineers, but also scientists, observers, and philosophers attuned to the rhythms of the cosmos. astronomical analysis has been among the most revealing avenues of research. Shafts of light penetrating chambers at specific lunar phases, platforms aligned with solstices, and corridors oriented to distant stars suggest that the temple functioned as a precise instrument for observing celestial events. Researchers have mapped alignments with the lunar cycle, noting that certain chambers are illuminated only during rare occurrences, such as eclipses or the full moon at particular times of the year. These phenomena would have required not only sophisticated observation skills, but also careful architectural planning, integrating temporal, spatial, and environmental variables into the design. The Moon Temple emerges as both a monument and a celestial observatory, bridging the earthly and the cosmic. Geometric and architectural studies reveal another layer of mastery. The temple's massive stones are cut and positioned with extraordinary precision, many fitting together without mortar yet with tolerances so tight that modern engineers marvel at the craftsmanship. Hidden chambers, inclined passages, and multi-layered platforms indicate a deep understanding of load distribution, structural integrity, and environmental factors such as earthquakes or seasonal temperature fluctuations. Surveyors have identified recurring geometric patterns that echo throughout the site: triangles, spirals, concentric circles, suggesting a symbolic system integrated with structural design. In essence, the temple embodies both functional engineering and symbolic architecture, a fusion of utility and meaning that continues to challenge modern understanding. Material science has also shed light on the temple's enigma. Analysis of stone, pigments, and artifact composition has revealed a level of technological sophistication that is striking. Stones show evidence of advanced cutting techniques, and some pigments retain vivid color despite centuries of exposure. Artifacts discovered within hidden chambers suggest knowledge of metallurgy, mineral processing, and chemical application that does not match known technologies from contemporary civilizations. Even microscopic residues of unknown compounds hint at ceremonial or experimental practices that remain mysterious. The temple thus serves not only as a cultural or religious site, but also as a laboratory of human, or perhaps pre-human, innovation, preserving techniques that may have been lost to time. Acoustic and environmental research provides yet another dimension to understanding the Moon Temple. Certain chambers are designed to amplify whispers, footsteps, or ritual chants, while others produce low-frequency resonances when stone surfaces are tapped. These effects may have been employed deliberately in rituals to evoke emotional or cognitive responses, guiding participants' attention and heightening the impact of ceremonies. Environmental analysis shows that temperature, humidity, and airflow were also carefully considered, creating conditions that enhanced preservation of materials, optimized comfort during ceremonies, and amplified sensory experience. Every detail reflects an extraordinary awareness of both natural and human systems. Interdisciplinary studies have begun to piece together how these elements, astronomy, geometry, materials, and environment, interact to form a coherent whole. The Moon Temple was not a random or purely aesthetic construction. It was an integrated system designed to connect human experience with cosmic cycles, physical reality, and symbolic meaning. Researchers speculate that the temple may have functioned as a multi-purpose institution, a site for ritual, observation, learning, and initiation. Its builders appear to have considered every aspect of human perception, from visual focus to auditory resonance, and every environmental variable, from light to airflow, creating an immersive experience that challenged understanding and engaged the senses on multiple levels. Scientific study also reveals intentionality in hidden chambers and artifacts. LiDAR scans and 3D reconstructions show patterns that correlate with astronomical cycles, suggesting that concealed spaces were not merely storage areas but essential components of the temple's functional design. Artifacts, inscriptions, and ceremonial implements found within these spaces appear to operate in concert with light and sound, amplifying symbolic or observational effects. The temple's design seems to encode knowledge in both visible and hidden forms, ensuring that those who engage with it gradually uncover layers of understanding. Modern research underscores that the Moon Temple was conceived as a dynamic, interactive system rather than a static monument. Beyond its technical mastery, scientific inquiry has also emphasized the Moon Temple's cultural and cognitive impact. Studies in cognitive archaeology suggest that the temple's design would have influenced perception, attention, and emotion, guiding participants through stages of understanding and insight. The integration of light, sound, and spatial design may have produced heightened states of awareness or transformative experiences, aligning ritual practice with cognitive and sensory engagement. The builder's awareness of human psychology, combined with technical sophistication, suggests an advanced understanding of both the physical and mental dimensions of experience, a holistic approach that challenges conventional assumptions about ancient societies. Despite these revelations, many questions remain unanswered. The precision of construction, the integration of celestial, environmental, and symbolic systems, and the presence of unexplained artifacts all point to knowledge that has been lost to history. Was the temple the product of a single civilization, a collaborative effort across cultures, or an intelligence entirely separate from known human societies? Did its creators intend to preserve knowledge for future generations, or were they focused on immediate ceremonial, observational, or transformative purposes? Each new discovery raises further questions, demonstrating that the Moon Temple continues to operate as both a site of understanding and a locus of mystery. The scientific study of the Moon Temple also highlights its enduring influence. Researchers from multiple disciplines, archaeology, astronomy, engineering, materials science, and cognitive science, are drawn to its enigmas, contributing to a growing body of interdisciplinary knowledge. Each investigation adds layers of understanding while reinforcing the complexity and intentionality of the builders. Modern technology allows us to measure, model, and simulate aspects of the temple that would have been inaccessible to earlier explorers. Yet even with these tools, the full scope of its design and purpose remains tantalizingly out of reach. The Moon Temple continues to inspire, challenge, and captivate, bridging ancient mystery and modern inquiry. Ultimately, scientific studies reveal the Moon Temple as an extraordinary synthesis of knowledge, skill, and vision. It is an architectural marvel, a celestial instrument, a site of ritual and experience, and a repository of lost knowledge. Its builders appear to have understood the interplay between stone, light, sound, environment, and human cognition, creating a holistic system that engages all senses and dimensions. Modern research, while illuminating, also underscores the enduring enigma of the temple. It is a structure that transcends conventional understanding, inviting exploration, reflection, and awe. The Moon Temple stands as a testament not only to technical mastery, but also to the enduring power of mystery, inspiration, and human curiosity. Perhaps the most compelling question surrounding the Moon Temple is the identity of its builders. Despite decades of archaeological study, no civilization claiming the construction of this extraordinary site has been identified. The precision of the architecture, the complexity of astronomical alignments, the hidden inscriptions, and the advanced artifacts suggest an intelligence far beyond what is known from surrounding cultures at the time. Scholars have debated whether the temple was the product of a forgotten civilization, an offshoot of a known society, or even a culture entirely erased from history. Each hypothesis carries profound implications, challenging our understanding of human development, knowledge, and the reach of ancient ingenuity. Some researchers propose that the builders were a highly advanced civilization contemporaneous with known cultures but deliberately erased from the historical record. The Moon Temple's sophisticated engineering, astronomical knowledge, and symbolic systems would require centuries of accumulated skill, education, and tradition. Yet no texts, settlements, or artifacts from surrounding areas definitively reference such a society. Could this civilization have existed and vanished without leaving traceable evidence? Natural disasters, social collapse, or deliberate destruction could have erased their presence, leaving only monuments like the Moon Temple as remnants of their extraordinary knowledge. This hypothesis raises chilling questions. What else might have been lost to time? And how much do we underestimate the achievements of unknown civilizations? Other theories suggest that the temple's builders were not bound by conventional human development. Some scholars entertain the possibility of transregional influences, cultures that may have traveled great distances, exchanged knowledge, or combined skills in ways that defy conventional models of archaeology. The precision of the Moon Temple's alignment with celestial phenomena hints at observation and understanding that may have required generations of study and meticulous recording. If these builders were part of a wider network of knowledge, the temple could represent a culmination of global intelligence, a singular point where disparate strands of wisdom converge. Yet the absence of corroborating evidence leaves this theory tantalizing but speculative, hovering at the edge of plausibility. A more controversial hypothesis posits that the Moon Temple's creators were not entirely human, or at least operated with principles of knowledge lost to the modern world. Advocates of this view point to the anomalies in construction, materials, and inscriptions. Stones cut with precision that modern tools struggle to replicate, artifacts of unknown composition, and inscriptions that resist translation. The architectural and astronomical sophistication appears, in some ways, ahead of its time, suggesting either extraordinary genius or external influence. While mainstream science maintains skepticism, these anomalies provoke deep questions about the limits of human capability, the potential for lost knowledge, and the possibility that ancient intelligence extended into realms we have yet to understand. Comparative studies with other ancient structures worldwide reveal striking parallels. The Moon Temple shares certain architectural features, alignments, and symbolic motifs with megalithic sites in distant regions, pyramids, stone circles, and temples that similarly incorporate astronomical precision and ritual integration. While direct cultural links are speculative, the similarities suggest a shared understanding of geometry, astronomy, and symbolic representation. Could the Moon Temple be part of a broader human, or even extra-human, tradition, a node in a network of knowledge spanning continents and centuries? The convergence of techniques and concepts across time and space challenges the notion of isolated development and invites reconsideration of ancient human capability. The artifacts within the temple further complicate the picture of its builders. Many objects, vessels, tools, carved implements, and enigmatic devices demonstrate material knowledge and symbolic sophistication unmatched by surrounding cultures. Chemical analysis reveals compounds, alloys, and pigments not native to the local region, suggesting trade, experimentation, or expertise in materials unknown to contemporary societies. The combination of advanced metallurgy, mineralogy, and symbolic integration indicates a culture that valued both practical skill and conceptual mastery, capable of integrating function, symbolism, and observation into a single coherent system. The Moon Temple thus becomes a window into a civilization whose complexity exceeds the assumptions of modern archaeology. Linguistic analysis, or attempts thereof, offers further intrigue. The inscriptions and motifs, though undecipherable, imply that the builders had a highly developed symbolic language, possibly encoding knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, and ritual practice. The repetition of specific patterns suggests systematic thought, while variations imply context, purpose, or hierarchical meaning. If this civilization existed, it was capable not only of monumental construction but also of sophisticated intellectual abstraction. The Moon Temple may represent a rare convergence of material, intellectual, and symbolic mastery, a reflection of a culture that integrated science, art, and ritual into every aspect of life. Theories regarding the builders also intersect with mythology and oral tradition. Many local legends, as well as distant narratives, describe visitors or beings who imparted knowledge to early humans or constructed monuments of extraordinary complexity. While such stories cannot be taken as literal evidence, they reveal a consistent human recognition of something extraordinary in the temple, something beyond ordinary cultural accomplishment. Myth and archaeology intersect in ways that hint at a shared memory of advanced intelligence, encoded both in story and in stone, reinforcing the idea that the Moon Temple was perceived as exceptional, sacred, and transformative across generations. Ultimately, the question of the builders touches on profound human concerns: the limits of knowledge, the resilience of memory, and the potential for civilizations to rise and vanish without trace. The Moon Temple challenges modern assumptions about technological and intellectual development, suggesting that history may hold undiscovered chapters of remarkable sophistication. Its creators, whether human, hybrid, or entirely unknown, left a legacy that speaks to ambition, precision, and curiosity. The temple is both testament and mystery, a silent witness to intelligence and vision that continues to inspire, puzzle, and provoke wonder. While definitive answers remain elusive, examining possible identities for the builders illuminates the scale and significance of their achievement. The Moon Temple was conceived not as a mere dwelling or monument, but as an integrated system of architecture, ritual, astronomy, and symbolic knowledge. The absence of a known civilization claiming it does not diminish its importance. Rather, it emphasizes the extraordinary nature of its existence. Each hypothesis, whether human, transregional, or beyond our conventional understanding, underscores the temple's role as a bridge between the known and the unknown, history and myth, observation and imagination. In the end, the Moon Temple's creators remain a mystery, but their work endures. Their achievement challenges the limits of imagination, urging us to reconsider what is possible, what has been lost, and what may still lie hidden in history. The search for their identity is as much a journey of human curiosity as it is a scholarly endeavor, reflecting our desire to connect with the extraordinary intelligence that shaped one of the most enigmatic monuments in existence. The temple stands not only as a construction of stone and alignment, but as a testament to vision, ambition, and the enduring allure of mystery that transcends time, culture, and civilization itself. One of the Moon Temple's most mesmerizing mysteries lies in its extraordinary celestial alignments. Unlike ordinary structures, the temple is not simply oriented to cardinal directions or the rising sun. Its design appears intimately connected to the movements of the moon, stars, and perhaps other celestial bodies. Shafts of light penetrate deep chambers only at specific lunar phases, casting illumination on platforms, inscriptions, and ceremonial objects in a way that seems intentional, almost choreographed. Modern astronomers have confirmed that these alignments are precise, corresponding to full moons, lunar eclipses, and rare astronomical events. The builders were not merely architects. They were observers of the heavens, integrating cosmic patterns into stone, shadow, and space. The lunar connection is particularly striking. Certain chambers are illuminated exclusively during the full moon of particular months, suggesting that ceremonies or observations were timed with lunar cycles. The orientation of corridors, platforms, and niches appears to track lunar progression, mapping the moon's path across the sky over time. This attention to the moon implies more than aesthetic preference. It suggests a sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics and temporal measurement. The Moon Temple may have functioned as a calendar, a lunar observatory, and a ritual site simultaneously, linking human activity to the broader cycles of the cosmos. Each alignment reinforces the impression that the builders possessed knowledge both scientific and symbolic, aware of forces and rhythms that govern life and perception. Astronomical alignments extend beyond the moon. Some chambers appear oriented to significant stars, constellations, or planetary positions, creating a network of cosmic correspondence. Certain platforms may have served as observation points, allowing the builders to chart celestial movement with remarkable precision. Others may have been ceremonial spaces where astronomical events were interpreted through ritual. The temple thus becomes a multidimensional instrument, capable of blending observation, prediction, and experience. Its design demonstrates that the creators were not passive stargazers. They were practitioners, ritualists, and engineers inextricably linked to the cosmos. The interplay of light and shadow amplifies these alignments. In specific chambers, inscriptions and carvings are illuminated only under precise conditions, revealing hidden messages or patterns that otherwise remain invisible. These effects suggest a dynamic interaction between architecture and celestial phenomena, turning observation into revelation. The temple itself acts as both instrument and storyteller, encoding knowledge in ways that require experience, attention, and timing to decipher. The movement of the moon across these chambers is not merely functional. It is symbolic, a ritualized embodiment of cosmic cycles, transformation, and the passage of time. Geometric design reinforces celestial integration. Many platforms, corridors, and chambers follow complex mathematical principles, suggesting that the builders understood not only the trajectories of celestial bodies, but also the abstract relationships underlying their movement. Triangles, spirals, and concentric circles recur throughout the temple, often aligned with light and shadow at critical times. These geometric motifs may encode cosmological principles, astronomical cycles, or symbolic representations of balance, change, and resonance. Every element appears intentional, reinforcing the temple's dual role as a scientific observatory and a ceremonial stage, where abstract knowledge and human perception converge. The emotional and psychological impact of celestial alignment would have been profound. Observers standing in illuminated chambers during rare lunar events likely experienced awe, heightened awareness, and even altered perception. The interplay of light, shadow, architecture, and cosmic timing creates a multisensory experience, engaging the mind and body simultaneously. Scholars suggest that the temple's design deliberately harnessed these effects, transforming ordinary observation into profound ritual and intellectual experience. The Moon Temple thus operates on multiple levels, as a monument, an observatory, and a catalyst for transformation. Astronomical knowledge embedded in the temple may have had practical applications. Alignments could assist in predicting lunar cycles, eclipses, or seasonal changes, aiding agricultural, ceremonial, or navigational planning. Yet the precision and scale of these alignments exceed mere utility. They point to symbolic, spiritual, or philosophical purposes. The temple's architecture transforms time and space into a medium of instruction and awe, creating a continuum between human action and cosmic order. The builders' understanding of celestial mechanics is inseparable from their understanding of ritual, perception, and human experience, suggesting an integrated worldview in which science, art, and spirituality converge. Hidden chambers and obscure corridors further complicate the celestial narrative. Some spaces are accessible only under specific astronomical conditions, while others contain inscriptions or artifacts that are illuminated or activated by particular moon phases. These hidden alignments suggest a tiered system of knowledge, in which understanding and access were granted progressively. Observers may have been initiated gradually, learning through experience how to read the temple, interpret its celestial cues, and engage with its rituals. The Moon Temple functions as a dynamic instrument, revealing layers of information only to those capable of recognizing and interacting with its cosmic design. The Moon Temple's celestial alignments also resonate with mythology and symbolism. Across cultures, the moon has represented cycles, transformation, mystery, and divine influence. By integrating lunar phenomena into architecture, the builders may have sought to connect human experience to these symbolic narratives, reinforcing ritual meaning, spiritual significance, and emotional impact. Each alignment becomes a story, each illuminated chamber a stage where cosmic principles are enacted, observed, and internalized. The temple is both a physical and symbolic map of the heavens, guiding participants through understanding and contemplation of the celestial order. Scientific investigations confirm the temple's precision. Surveys of alignment, light angles, and celestial trajectories show that the builders accounted for the moon's precession, seasonal variations, and long-term celestial cycles. The architectural sophistication necessary to achieve this indicates not only careful observation but also advanced planning, calculation, and geometric mastery. In essence, the Moon Temple is a physical manifestation of knowledge, codifying astronomical understanding into stone, shadow, and space. Its design ensures that observers interact with the cosmos in ways that are deliberate, immersive, and transformative. Finally, the celestial alignments reinforce the temple's enduring mystery. They suggest that the Moon Temple was conceived not only as a monument or observatory, but as a bridge between human perception, ritual, and cosmic order. Every corridor, chamber, and platform aligns with light, shadow, and celestial bodies to create an experience that is both measurable and transcendent. The temple communicates knowledge, evokes emotion, and challenges understanding, reminding us that human, or perhaps non-human, intelligence once reached heights that modern observers can only partially reconstruct. The Moon Temple is not just a place of stone. It is a dynamic interface with the cosmos, a lasting testament to the power of observation, ingenuity, and wonder. The Moon Temple's relationship with the cosmos was not merely observational. It was ritualistic, deeply intertwined with ceremonial practice and human experience. The alignment of chambers, platforms, and corridors to lunar cycles and celestial events suggests that the temple's builders understood that the heavens could influence not just time and seasons, but perception, emotion, and consciousness. Rituals conducted within the temple appear to have been designed to synchronize human activity with lunar phenomena, creating experiences that were as spiritual as they were intellectual. Participants were not passive observers. They became active participants in a cosmic dance, moving through the temple in step with celestial rhythms. Evidence from both archaeology and mythology indicates that rituals were highly structured, integrating light, sound, movement, and symbolic objects. Shafts of moonlight would illuminate carvings, inscriptions, or altars at precise moments, while acoustic chambers amplified chants or footsteps, guiding attention and perception. Organic offerings, pigments, and ceremonial implements were likely arranged to interact with these natural and architectural effects, producing a multisensory experience. The temple itself became a medium, a tool to orchestrate human engagement with the cosmos. Every ritual was a deliberate encounter with both the physical and metaphysical, blending observation, participation, and reflection into a single, immersive experience. The lunar cycle appears to have held particular significance. Certain chambers are illuminated only during specific phases of the moon, suggesting that ceremonies were timed with precision to harness the symbolic and practical power of these cycles. Full moons, new moons, and eclipses may have marked transitions, initiations, or key ritual events, each aligning with symbolic meaning embedded in the temple's design. The lunar connection reinforces the idea that participants were meant to perceive themselves as part of a larger cosmic order, their movements and actions reflecting, mirroring, and participating in celestial cycles. The temple served as a stage on which the moon itself became an actor, influencing the human experience of space and time. Movement through the temple appears choreographed to align with ritual objectives. Corridors, ramps, and hidden passages guide participants through sequences that gradually reveal layers of symbolic and sensory information. Participants may have begun in illuminated chambers, progressed through shadowed corridors, and ultimately arrived at spaces of revelation or transformation. The journey itself was a form of instruction, teaching through experience rather than words. Architectural features, combined with celestial alignments, create a narrative of engagement, guiding understanding and shaping perception. The temple becomes a theater of ritual and cognition, where human movement, light, and sound are carefully orchestrated to produce both insight and awe. Artifacts and ceremonial implements reinforce this integration of ritual and cosmos. Vessels, carved objects, and symbolic tools are often found in positions aligned with celestial effects, suggesting they were functional elements in rituals. Pigments, mineral residues, and organic materials indicate that these objects were used deliberately to enhance experience, producing visual, olfactory, and tactile effects. The integration of these artifacts with spatial design and celestial events demonstrates a sophisticated understanding of ritual, symbolism, and sensory engagement. Participants would have experienced the temple as a total environment, in which every detail, from the sound of footsteps to the reflection of moonlight, contributed to meaning, perception, and emotional resonance. The psychological impact of these rituals cannot be overstated. Scholars in cognitive archaeology suggest that alignment with celestial phenomena, combined with sensory manipulation, could induce heightened states of awareness or altered perception. The temple's design engages attention, emotion, and cognition simultaneously, creating profound experiences of wonder, contemplation, or even transcendence. The interplay of light, shadow, sound, and movement transforms ordinary space into a site of ritualized perception, where participants confront not only the cosmos but themselves. In this sense, the Moon Temple operates as both a spiritual instrument and a cognitive laboratory, shaping human experience in ways both subtle and profound. Symbolism is deeply embedded in the rituals. Lunar phases, celestial alignments, and architectural geometry are not arbitrary. They are encoded with meaning, guiding participants through cycles of reflection, initiation, and understanding. Full moons may symbolize completeness or enlightenment, new moons beginnings or concealment, and eclipses transformation or revelation. Geometric motifs, triangles, spirals, concentric circles, serve as visual metaphors for cosmic and existential principles. The temple transforms abstract knowledge into embodied experience, making the intangible tangible, and turning the heavens into a mirror for human understanding. Mythology supports the ritual significance of lunar cycles. Oral traditions describe ceremonies performed in synchrony with the moon, recounting experiences of vision, transformation, and insight. These narratives suggest that the temple's design was deliberately created to facilitate not only observation but profound engagement with ritual knowledge. In combining architecture, light, sound, and movement, the Moon Temple transforms myth into experience, giving narrative form to the invisible forces that govern human perception and the cosmos. Participants were not merely spectators. They were co-creators of meaning, enacting the cycles, principles, and stories embedded in the temple's design. The integration of ritual and cosmos also suggests a moral and philosophical dimension. Certain spaces and chambers were accessible only during specific celestial events, while hidden inscriptions or artifacts may have been revealed to those deemed prepared or worthy. These mechanisms imply a hierarchy of understanding, where engagement with the cosmos was earned through participation, observation, and initiation. Rituals thus combined empirical knowledge with ethical and spiritual instruction, reinforcing the notion that wisdom, insight, and transformation were inseparable from preparation, attentiveness, and reverence. The temple's design becomes a reflection of both cosmology and human aspiration. Ultimately, the rituals of the Moon Temple demonstrate that the cosmos was not distant or abstract for its participants. It was intimate, participatory, and transformative. By synchronizing human action with lunar cycles, celestial alignments, and architectural precision, the temple created a lived experience in which observation, ritual, and cognition were inseparable. Participants engaged in a dialogue with the heavens, moving through space and time as both actors and observers, exploring the interplay of light, shadow, sound, and symbol. The Moon Temple's ritual design is a testament to the extraordinary sophistication of its creators, their understanding of human perception, and their reverence for the cosmos as a guide, teacher, and participant in human experience. Even today, standing in the temple during a full moon, one can feel echoes of these ancient rituals. Light shifts across platforms and carvings, shadows lengthen and contract, and the structure seems to respond to the rhythm of celestial movement. The integration of architecture, astronomy, and ritual continues to evoke awe, reflection, and emotional resonance. It reminds us that the Moon Temple was not merely built to last. It was built to be experienced, to teach, to transform, and to connect human beings to the cosmos. Its rituals are a bridge between the material and the symbolic, the empirical and the mystical, the human and the celestial. Beneath the visible grandeur of the Moon Temple lies a labyrinth of hidden chambers and secret spaces, spaces deliberately concealed from casual observers and accessible only through careful exploration, or perhaps through knowledge long lost. These chambers, often sealed by massive stone slabs or hidden behind complex architectural features, represent the most enigmatic layer of the temple. They are not merely storage rooms or structural recesses. They are repositories of esoteric knowledge, ceremonial implements, and artifacts whose purpose may never be fully understood. Their existence hints at a deliberate strategy by the builders to separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, the mundane from the sacred, and the known from the hidden. Explorers and archaeologists have discovered corridors that lead into darkness, some twisting and narrowing, others opening into vast subterranean halls. These passages are carefully constructed, often aligning with shafts of moonlight or celestial events, suggesting that the temple's hidden spaces were as deliberately designed as the visible ones. Within these secret chambers, artifacts, carvings, and inscriptions are frequently oriented to light, sound, or cosmic alignment, indicating that they were meant to be encountered under very specific conditions. The hidden spaces are not static. They are interactive, designed to reveal their significance gradually, demanding observation, patience, and understanding from those who enter. Artifacts recovered from these hidden chambers are as mysterious as the spaces themselves. Many objects defy categorization, exhibiting forms, materials, or functions unknown in contemporary cultures. Some are carved with patterns or inscriptions that resist translation, while others incorporate rare minerals or compounds that suggest specialized knowledge of chemistry and metallurgy. Certain artifacts appear to have been used in ceremonial contexts, while others may have functioned as instruments for observation or measurement. The combination of material, design, and placement indicates a culture that valued knowledge, ritual, and precision, and that sought to preserve certain insights away from casual or unprepared observers. Hidden inscriptions and carvings provide additional layers of mystery. Some are partially obscured by stone or shadow, visible only when light falls at a precise angle or during a specific lunar phase. Others are carved in sequences that suggest narrative or instructional purpose, encoding knowledge about astronomy, ritual, or symbolic systems. Scholars attempting to decipher these inscriptions have encountered significant challenges, as they employ symbols and conventions not found in any known writing system. These secret markings suggest that the temple was not merely a place of worship or observation, but a repository of knowledge accessible only to those who understood its codes, procedures, or alignment with celestial phenomena. The architecture of the hidden chambers enhances their enigmatic nature. Certain passages are deliberately disorienting, narrowing, sloping, or branching in ways that challenge perception. Acoustics are manipulated, amplifying whispers, footsteps, or chants, while shafts of light reveal and conceal inscriptions or artifacts. These architectural choices suggest that the experience of navigating hidden spaces was as important as the objects themselves, guiding participants through stages of understanding and emotional engagement. The temple's design transforms exploration into ritual, turning the act of discovery into a transformative journey in which insight, patience, and observation are rewarded. Many of the hidden chambers are aligned with celestial events in ways that reinforce their sacred or instructional function. Certain spaces are illuminated only during eclipses, specific full moons, or rare astronomical alignments, activating inscriptions, altars, or ceremonial platforms. This synchronization of hidden architecture with cosmic phenomena suggests that the temple was not simply a monument to observation, but an immersive, interactive instrument, integrating knowledge, ritual, and perception. Accessing these spaces was both literal and symbolic. One had to be in the right place at the right time, aware of cycles that governed both the heavens and the human experience. The esoteric nature of these hidden chambers has given rise to speculation about their purpose. Some researchers propose that they were intended for initiations, reserved for those trained in the temple's symbolic and celestial systems. Others suggest that these chambers held knowledge too potent or dangerous for general access. Information about the cosmos, materials, or processes meant only for the most prepared minds. Folklore and oral traditions hint at such purposes, describing secret rooms where only the worthy could perceive the truths contained within, where light, shadow, and sound revealed wisdom that was inaccessible to the uninitiated. The hidden chambers thus function as both physical and symbolic thresholds, separating ordinary experience from extraordinary revelation. Artifacts, inscriptions, and ceremonial implements within these chambers suggest a hierarchy of knowledge. Objects placed in prominent positions may have functioned as instructional tools, while those deeply hidden may have contained the most guarded secrets. The temple appears to have been designed to test observation, patience, and understanding, with access and comprehension unfolding gradually through engagement. The builders seem to have anticipated that only those capable of careful study, alignment with celestial cycles, and perceptive interaction with architecture would uncover deeper layers of insight. In this way, the Moon Temple becomes a structured system of knowledge, where the hidden chambers represent the culmination of observation, ritual, and cognitive challenge. Exploration of these spaces is not without danger. Massive stone doors, narrow passages, and unstable floors require careful navigation, while the very design of the chambers can create disorientation or sensory overload. Early explorers noted a sense of awe and intimidation upon entering these spaces, often describing feelings of being observed or tested by the architecture itself. These psychological effects may have been intended, heightening the perceived power of the temple and reinforcing the sacredness of what lies hidden. The builder's manipulation of environment, perception, and experience suggests an advanced understanding of human psychology, integrating it with astronomy, architecture, and ritual. Ultimately, the hidden chambers underscore the Moon Temple's enduring mystery and sophistication. They reveal a culture or intelligence capable of integrating architecture, celestial observation, material science, ritual, and human perception into a single coherent system. These spaces were not accidental. They were carefully designed to preserve knowledge, guide experience, and evoke emotional and cognitive responses. They reinforce the idea that the Moon Temple was not simply a place to observe the heavens but a living instrument, teaching, transforming, and challenging those who engaged with it. Each hidden corridor, chamber, and artifact is a testament to vision, precision, and the deliberate orchestration of experience. The hidden chambers also bridge past and present. Modern exploration, guided by archaeology, LiDAR scanning, and careful excavation, has begun to reveal these secret spaces, yet much remains undiscovered. Each new discovery raises further questions about the temple's purpose, construction, and the intentions of its builders. The process of uncovering hidden chambers mirrors the ritual experience encoded by the temple itself. Progress is gradual, understanding is earned, and revelation is contingent upon careful observation and engagement. The Moon Temple continues to operate as both a physical site and a conceptual challenge, inviting discovery while preserving its mysteries. In the end, the hidden chambers of the Moon Temple are as much a reflection of human curiosity as they are of ancient ingenuity. They embody the tension between knowledge and mystery, visibility and concealment, observation and insight. The artifacts, inscriptions, and architectural design all converge to create spaces that are simultaneously material and symbolic, functional and transformative. These chambers remind us that the Moon Temple was conceived not only as a monumental structure, but as an interactive, layered system of understanding, one in which the pursuit of hidden knowledge is a journey, a ritual, and a testament to human engagement with the cosmos. The Moon Temple was more than stone and alignment. It was a place designed to shape perception, emotion, and thought. Visitors across centuries describe a heightened awareness, a sense of time bending, and moments of awe that feel almost otherworldly. Light, shadow, and acoustics were carefully orchestrated. Moonbeams illuminate hidden inscriptions, corridors amplify whispers, and chambers reveal secrets only at precise celestial moments. These experiences suggest the builders understood the subtle interplay between environment and human consciousness. Rituals amplified this effect. Ceremonial objects, pigments, and altars engaged the senses, fragrance, texture, and color combined with spatial design to guide attention and evoke emotion. The temple was a stage, the participant both audience and actor, moving through spaces where perception, cognition, and feeling were deliberately intertwined. The experience was cumulative. Repeated visits during lunar cycles or celestial events revealed new phenomena, deepening understanding and emotional resonance. Psychologists and cognitive archaeologists today recognize that such spaces can induce transformative states, enhancing insight, reflection, and perception. The Moon Temple demonstrates this principle with remarkable precision, showing that ancient builders intentionally shaped human consciousness. Its mystical dimension is inseparable from its purpose, guiding individuals toward reflection, awareness, and revelation. The temple was not merely observed, it was lived, felt, and internalized. Across centuries, it has remained a site where the human mind meets architecture, ritual, and the cosmos in a profound, unforgettable encounter. The Moon Temple has long been linked to lost knowledge and forbidden wisdom. Hidden chambers, esoteric inscriptions, and advanced artifacts suggest the builders preserved understanding far beyond the reach of ordinary observers. Some scholars propose the temple encoded advanced astronomy, geometry, or even materials knowledge, revealed only to those trained or initiated. Knowledge was layered and experiential. It could not be understood passively but had to be earned through engagement with the temple itself. artifacts and inscriptions hint at practices or ideas unknown to contemporary societies. Tools, pigments, and devices suggest experimentation and observation beyond conventional techniques. Inscriptions, resistant to translation, may have encoded cosmology, ritual, or philosophy, combining symbolic, experiential, and intellectual content. This deliberate concealment implies the temple functioned as a guarded repository of wisdom. Theories of lost knowledge place the Moon Temple within a global pattern. Ancient civilizations often encoded complex understanding in architecture, celestial alignment, or ritual, preserving insights in ways that survive the collapse of societies. The Moon Temple may have been part of such a tradition, a carefully orchestrated environment where perception, ritual, and observation combine to transmit understanding. Its mysteries continue to inspire speculation about civilizations, intelligence, and knowledge systems now vanished, suggesting that even today, history is incomplete and human curiosity is the key to uncovering the secrets that endure in stone, shadow, and light. The Moon Temple stands as a timeless monument, commanding awe for both its grandeur and its mysteries. Its precise architecture, hidden chambers, and celestial alignments hint at a sophistication that continues to baffle historians and archaeologists. Beyond stone and structure, it preserves a philosophy that knowledge, observation, and ritual can converge to create transformative experiences. Visitors often describe feelings of awe, reverence, and even disorientation, suggesting that the temple was designed to engage not just the eyes but the mind and spirit. Legends, myths, and local folklore reinforce the temple's enduring power. Stories of initiates, secret knowledge, and cosmic revelation have circulated for centuries, emphasizing that the temple's significance transcends its physical presence. Modern technology has uncovered hidden chambers and celestial alignments, yet much remains undeciphered, preserving the sense of mystery that has captivated explorers for generations. The Moon Temple also challenges conventional views of history. Its construction, precision, and complex design suggest a civilization or intelligence, possessing knowledge far beyond what we typically credit to ancient societies. It embodies a tension between revelation and secrecy, demonstrating that wisdom was deliberately safeguarded and revealed only to those prepared to perceive it. Its legacy persists not only in stone but in imagination, curiosity, and the human desire to understand. The temple is a reminder that history is alive, mysterious, and incomplete, calling us to explore, reflect, and marvel at what may yet be uncovered. The Moon Temple's influence extends far beyond its location, inspiring awe, speculation, and study across the globe. Architectural and symbolic parallels in distant civilizations suggest shared knowledge or ideas now lost. From precise astronomical alignments to complex geometric planning, the temple reflects an intelligence that integrated science, ritual, and art in ways still remarkable today. Its hidden chambers, interactive design, and celestial synchronization continue to shape experiences for modern visitors. Standing in these spaces, one feels the same sense of wonder as those who first entered the temple, as light illuminates inscriptions or hidden objects are revealed at specific lunar phases. The Moon Temple is not simply observed. It is experienced, its lessons delivered through engagement with space, perception, and time. The temple challenges our understanding of ancient knowledge. It preserves insights into astronomy, materials, and cognition that remain elusive to modern science. Each discovery raises further questions, reminding us that history is incomplete and that human curiosity is essential to unlocking these mysteries. The Moon Temple embodies the enduring power of ingenuity, imagination, and observation, showing that the past can still inspire, teach, and challenge us. It is a living testament to human ambition, encouraging reflection on what knowledge may yet be hidden, what mysteries remain, and how curiosity drives exploration across generations. The Moon Temple concludes its silent dialogue with the present, leaving us with more questions than answers. Its hidden chambers, celestial precision, and esoteric artifacts challenge modern assumptions about ancient civilizations, suggesting intelligence, intent, and curiosity far beyond expectation. Visitors report awe, reflection, and subtle transformation, demonstrating that the temple was designed not only to be seen, but to be experienced, shaping perception and thought. The temple's mysteries, its undecipherable inscriptions, hidden knowledge, and precise alignments, invite speculation and wonder. Was it built to preserve wisdom, to guide initiates, or to encode knowledge beyond human comprehension? These questions remain unresolved, yet the very presence of the temple inspires curiosity, reflection, and intellectual engagement. Its design shows that knowledge and experience were inseparable, and that revelation required patience, attention, and perception. In its shadows, the Moon Temple becomes more than architecture. It is a mirror of human ambition, intellect, and imagination. It challenges us to look deeper, to question, and to consider the unknown possibilities of history. Standing beneath its moonlit corridors, one feels connected to the builders, the initiates, and the cosmos itself. The Moon Temple reminds us that mystery is a part of human existence, that knowledge can be hidden and revealed, and that the pursuit of understanding is endless. Its final message resonates. History, wisdom, and curiosity endure, and the temple's secrets continue to inspire reflection, wonder, and the eternal quest to comprehend what lies beyond our sight.